Welcome back to Peter and Ruffy's Saturday Football Show. Alan Ruff, Gordon Smith and Hugh McDonald are in place. If you're not going to a match today, stick with us on STV. We'll bring you all the latest news from all the grounds and, of course, goal action as well. As soon as it hits the back of the net, you'll get reaction from the guys here in the studio too. Championship day, and it could be title winning day for Hibernian if it all goes their way. We're at Easter Road now with Des McKeown.
Good afternoon and welcome to Easter Road ahead of Hibs game versus Queen of the South this afternoon in the Scottish Championship. Neil Lennon's side know that they have the chance to secure the league title this afternoon if they take more points than second placed Falkirk. Queen of the South are the visitors, and under the management of former Hearts player Gary Naismith, they'll try and put a spoke in the wheels. But for Neil Lennon, they know that if they get their job done, there could be party celebrations behind us this afternoon. All to come from Easter Road.
Yeah, really looking forward to that. And of course, earlier on, Des caught up with a few die-hard Hibbies.
Outside Easter Road with Duncan, who is a lifelong Hibs fan. Duncan, what would winning the championship title mean to you as a Hibs fan?
Just being back up in the big league with the so-called big teams. Just happy to go to their stadiums again and get some more victories and hopefully give Rangers and Celtic a challenge next season.
Finishing the league today would be the highlight, getting it done early doors. But the games involved, the league's been a bit, we get too many draws, but the cup games where we beat Hearts, it's got to be the highlight because we demolished them. But the league is the most important this season, to be honest.
Can't wait for us to get back into the Premiership, and as one of your previous interviewers with challenging Rangers and Celtic for and even against Hearts, and beating Hearts is a big challenge for us. I cannot not playing that well just now, but I hope we always give them a game and they always lift their game for us when they come here and we go there. So I think when we go up to the Premier League, I think we'll be challenging in the top six anyway.
And tell me, how good a job has Neil Lennon done?
Pretty good. I think he doesn't pussyfoot about. Stubbsy, I think he could have told him a wee bit more, and I think Lennon says how it is.
He's turned things around. He's got his methods, and although Stubbsy did a great job getting us a Scottish Cup, hopefully we can challenge next week. If we can beat Aberdeen, the world's an oyster.
Yeah, great way to sum it up. That's the confidence among the Hibs support. And of course, I love Edinburgh fans. Ruffy, you know, living in that city, hearing a Hibs fan saying, "We demolished them." That's painful to hear for many a Hearts fan. But again, the derbies are so important, and it's great that will be back on the agenda next season.
It's fantastic. It's really good. I think we'll all touched on it, that we need every derby available, even the Dundee derby as well. But I think there's a lot to run in that scenario. I think, as you know, I was up at Dundee last night, and they're dreading a Dundee United, playoff scenario, which could happen in the next couple of weeks. So, because we need these two teams as well, and Hibs Hearts back on the calendar. It's been a pressure season for Hibs, and I think Neil's came up trumps.
Yep, absolutely. Of course, you mentioned there, Ruffy, you were at the Dundee Hall of Fame dinner last night. Alec Troop, Alex Stewart, Thompson Allen, there was a great goalkeeper, Keith Wright, and Big Rab Douglas. Well done to all 5 inductees into the Hall of Fame. Usually when you get a Hall of Fame like that, they just take a photograph of the people who are inducted into the Hall of Fame. But Ruffy, you just can't resist. You want to get into every photograph, even of Hall of Fames that you can't get into.
Yeah, but there's not many options. You get a chance to get a 3 times Hall of Famer in a photograph, so
Who's the 3, roughly?
Hibs, Partick Thistle in Scotland.
Oh, in Scotland.
No, you're not in the Glenafton one. Surely they must be in the Glenafton one. Come on.
I've got a host in there. I've got
Unfortunately, it's not his house. But he's got it down there anyway. You could be a 4-time Hall of Famer. I wouldn't rule that out, Ruffy, for Glenafton. We talked about Hibs and the potential there. We'll be back to Des McKeown very shortly. But of course, At the bottom end of the Premiership, it's nail-biting time. It's Motherwell against Inverness, Cali Thistle. It's the battle to avoid the drop, Kevin Harper.
For sure, Peter, it's going to be a massive 6-pointer today, because I think if Motherwell win, then they go 7 points ahead of Inverness. And I think if that's the case, then Inverness will be down, Peter. Simple as that. You know, Inverness, if they win, it takes them closer to Motherwell, and depending on results, Hamilton. But Motherwell haven't won at home in 9, Peter. And the last Inverness one was here in October of last year, and it was 3-0 against Motherwell. So that's the last time they've won away from home. So I think it's very, very difficult game to call today.
It could be, Kevin, that everyone's looking towards the strikers. The Fir Park fans coming in will be praying that Louis Moult gets the nod.
Yeah, for sure. He scored 12 goals this season, Peter. By far and away, the top goal scorer, Scott McDonald's, on 8. But Inverness, for me, is the worry. Their top goal scorer is Greg Tansey, who's only scored 5 goals, and he's a midfielder. So I just don't know where the goals for Inverness are going to come from.
Sunny today, and that pitch looks absolutely magnificent behind you, Kevin. It just shows you what happens when you can put a good groundsman in place.
That's true, Peter. It does look amazing. You know, and hopefully it's a great game. You know, the surface is good. You know, what we're going for, the relegation fight, should be a battle at first, but I think once it settles down, hopefully we'll get a good game, and goals most importantly.
Yeah, let's hope for goals. Hugh McDonald. Louis Moult does take his place in the starting lineup. Samson, Hamill, Hennigan, McHugh, Moult, Bowman, Cadden, Freer, Campbell, McDonald and Pearson. So he's in.
Yeah, and that you know, just rattling off those names suggests not a team that you would think would be struggling at the bottom. I think there's real quality in that. I know that some of the players are struggling for form. But I think Motherwell should be too good for Inverness today. As I say, I have seen no indication, no sign from Inverness for a long while that they're capable of getting out that bottom 2. Never mind, well, in fact, capable of getting out the bottom 1. But this is a huge game. It's all, this is the chance to prove everybody wrong. This is a chance to throw the relegation battle wide open again. But as I say, I expect Motherwell to win.
Yep, okay. Lots of games that we're going to discuss today throughout the afternoon. Stay with us. We'll keep you up to date with all the goals as they hit the back of the net. We'll have interviews from managers, key players involved in the games. I can tell you Niall McGinn is not in the starting lineup for Aberdeen as well. One change for Rangers. Barry Mackay coming in to replace Joe Garner, who drops down to the bench. Rangers: Foderingham, Tavernier, Bates, Wilson, Bierman, Heinemann, Terral, Holt, Mackay, Miller and Waghorn. That's the starting lineup for Rangers against Partick Thistle. We'll bring you the Jags lineup very shortly. Just looking at some of the other things I want to get your thoughts on. Final whistle in the Premier League match in England. It's Tottenham 4, Bournemouth 0, and suddenly I think Tottenham will be looking and thinking to themselves, can actually Jose Mourinho do them a right turn and take something off Chelsea to bring that whole title race back to life? We'll discuss that as well. Gordon Smith, I'm just looking at the Rangers scenario. Everybody and their granny talking about Kenny Miller, but they've got the off-field problems as well with the Dave King situation, with the share issue, that he let the deadline pass, that they should have actually made a 20p offer for the remaining shares, thought to be around £11 million. It's the last thing, Rangers want to have again as they head towards the end of the season. Problems off the pitch.
Yeah, it certainly is. I mean, the thing is, they've got a new regime in place. They're trying to get a positivity about it, and these kind of things hanging in the background are always cause problems. That's been the big problem for Rangers over a few years now. Is that it's not just in terms of concentrating on what's happening in terms of the team, improving the team with the new manager and all that. If this goes on in the background as well, it takes away from an awful lot, but it needs to be sorted. I mean, the thing is, Dave King is the main man, and if he's put in a position where the courts are saying this has to be dealt with, in this manner, then surely he's got to take it seriously.
Yeah, we'll wait to see how that story develops. What do you make of Billy Gilmore? He's going to move to Chelsea, £600,000. Now, if Rangers had waited to the summer, he could have joined Chelsea for £90,000. Is it a good bit of business, bearing in mind that the intention of the lad is to go to Chelsea?
Yeah, it's a hard one to work out as well, whether the lad's doing the right thing. Because, as I say, he's a young player who could break through quicker in Scotland than he's got any chance of maybe doing at Chelsea. I know he's a real talent. I've seen him play a few times actually, and from the first moment I ever saw him, I think he was about 11 or 12 years of age, you could tell he was a talent. He was so skillful, beat a player when other boys, although there was a good standard, he was special. So I think that from that point of view, you just don't know what kind of advice he's getting in terms of saying it's the best time for you to go. Obviously, he'll go into really good money, because I know for a fact a lot of these teenagers that are at Chelsea and all that are earning tremendous money, more than even players in the Premier League are getting that are established players.
Yes.
So I think that, but he shouldn't be considered financially. The money will come if his career builds anyway. And the big thing about it is exactly what's the benefit of him going away from home, going to live down London. Where will he go and play? I mean, he'll play in the Chelsea development team for a while. Then they'll probably put him out on loan.
Yeah.
So I think so. It's a difficult one. But in Rangers, as I say, they do want to keep him. So what they're trying to do now, if the boys just determined to leave Peter, what they're trying to do is get as much money from the situation as they can.
Yep, absolutely. OK, they take on a Partick Thistle side, buoyant in the top six, and of course that great news about their £4 million training complex as well. Here's the starting 11 for Alan Archibald's side: Thomas Cherney, Mustafa Doumbouya, Liam Lindsay, David Amu, Stephen Lawless, Adam Barton, Christy Elliott, Daniel Devine, Adi Aziz, Niall Keown and Ryan Edwards. This could be a tough one for Rangers today, because Thistle not just there to make up the numbers. This is what the Rangers manager Pedro Caixinha makes of the opposition today.
Very interesting.
I will come back to Pedro in just a moment and get his thoughts on Partick Thistle. But the main chat seems to be about everybody talking about giving Kenny Miller a new deal. I mean, this has become an obsession now. I wouldn't buy into it so much, Hugh, on the basis that sometimes a manager comes in and wants to do his own thing, build his own side, not necessarily look towards the pressures of signing a 37-year-old.
Yeah, if you want my opinion, I think my opinion is the deal will be done. I think when you've got I think if you've got both parties seem behind the scenes, both parties seem willing to continue with the thing. So I think a deal will come. It's just nice football chat. We're talking about deals and we're talking about and that's what Rangers fans would love to be talking about. But it's going back to the Gordon thing. The real, Kenny Miller deals are finishing third in the league. It pales into insignificance, according, to what's happening at the club at the moment. I would love to see some, stability at the club where there was a strategy going forward, where somebody just came in and, Gordon, I know you were involved in it and I know you tried to introduce a strategy, but it really needs somebody to sit down and say, no, this is where we're going, this is the money we have, this is how we're going to meet it, this is the money we don't have, so we can't do that.
You wonder if he does know that, Hugh, whether Coutinho knows exactly what the budget is. King's saying there is money available for him, so that'll be interesting to see whether it's going to be. But then he's got to look at it and say, OK, if I'm going to be bringing in a striker, will Kenny Miller be part of that? Joe Garner's still there.
Yeah.
He might be saying to Kenny Miller, look, I'm very pleased with you doing it. If you continue the form you're in just now till the end of the season, you might get a deal. And that means, at least you're motivating Kenny Miller to continue to play in the manner he did. Because last week, his first goal he scored last week was tremendous. A fantastic finish. The second one was also deserved a bit of credit because he made a good run and he was trying to put the ball away. So from that point of view, Kenny Miller has still got something to offer, but he is in the winter of his career without doubt. You don't know if somebody's going to continue to play at that level right up and beyond 37 years of age.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, his teammates are all keen for him to be back at Ibrox next year, including Martin Waghorn.
He's still performing at a high level, and he just brings that calmness, a bit of experience, and he always talks to the boys about don't panic in these games, don't worry about it. You'll always get a chance, and it's all about taking it. And that was a perfect example for us on the weekend. Where, like I touched on before, we're under a bit of pressure, start the half, and one counter attack and we get a goal. So that's what he's there for. He's in the right position at the right time, and that's him just using his experience and being there.
Yeah, so Kenny Miller, a favourite with the crowd and with his teammates. Whether he'll be there next season, only time will tell. Of course, they face a Partick Thistle side where we had the Partick Thistle manager, Alan Archibald, as our guest earlier in the week. And now the Jags are starting to think about catching Hearts.
We want to focus in getting points after the split as well. I know a lot of teams get there and struggle to win another game because it's so difficult with the fixtures, but we've got a wee chance of maybe catching Hearts. Obviously we need them to drop points, but we know that we've got a wee chance to do it, and that's the focus. Yeah, we can relax and go into the games not looking over our shoulder, so hopefully that will spur us on.
Sum up the job he's done, Ruffy, for Thistle.
Fantastic. I think we all know that he had a chance to go to Shrewsbury early on in the season. They were really keen to get him, but the board obviously had a meeting with him and reassured him that didn't matter what happened at the club, that he was there for a while longer. And I think there is a good bond between Alan and the board up there. You know, they're all going in the right direction, and I think obviously the highlight of the complex and everything that's going to be built, and obviously the money that's coming in, I think he will be going to the board and asking for possibly more money to spend. But I think he's just stabilised everything, because for the last 3 or 4 years it's all been about fighting relegation, and it must be a horrible scenario as a manager. He was always been tipped, and then the last 3 or 4 games they've managed to pull themselves away. Completely different this year, obviously, and he'll be just hoping that he can build on that.
It's just the highest position since 1981, I think, so yes, isn't it? I mean, that's tremendous. And the main thing about a manager, Peter, is judging them on the resources they've got. You know, that's the other thing. It's not just about getting the results and all that. It's about how much money does he have compared to the other teams. And there's no doubt about it. That's why St Johnstone deserve a lot of credit. He and St Johnstone, they're two teams who don't have the resources of any of the other teams in the top 6.
And see, when he got a bit of money as well, Peter, he really used it really well, and he instead of going for maybe a big stopper or a defensive midfielder, he went out and he got Barton, and he brought Adam Barton up, and he's been tremendous with us. And I think Barton will be really good in the run-in, because now that now the desperation's away, they're in the top 6.
Yeah.
They can play with a bit of freedom, and if you allow Adam Barton to play with a bit of freedom, you're going to see some nice stuff, particularly in good pitches. I really rate him. I think he's a really good midfielder. I mean, they played him at the back and then they moved him just in front of the back 4, but he's a lovely player.
OK, Rangers, Partick Thistle, will be keeping our eye on that. The bottom end, we've already had a chat with Kevin Harper, Motherwell against Inverness, Cally Thistle. Kevin is there at Fir Park. Kevin, Louis Moult starts for Motherwell.
Yeah, huge news, Peter. Martin Motherwell fans must be absolutely delighted. I'll just go through the teams. Motherwell made 3 changes from the team that lost to Partick Thistle last week. Out go Clay, Jules and Gordon, and in come Hamill, Campbell and Moult. Their team is Craig Sampson in goal, Stephen Hamill, Ben Hagan, Carol McHugh, Lewis Moult, Ryan Bowman, Chris Cadden, Elliot Frere, Alan Campbell, Scott McDonald and Steve Pearson. And Inverness, they also make 3 changes, Peter. Out go McNaughton, Warren and Cole from last week's 3-0 defeat against St Johnstone. And in come Polworth, Viggers and King. Their team is Owen Vaughan Williams, Carl Tremenko, Liam Polworth, Ross Draper, Ian Viggers, Jamie McCart, Greg Tansey, Alex Fisher, Billy King, Lewis Lang and Brad Mackay.
OK, that's the team. We'll come back to Kevin just shortly. We're going to switch our attention to some of the other matches in the Premiership as well. Dundee don't have their problems to seek. I can tell you the Dundee team for you: Bain, Holt, Vincent O'Dea, Haitley, McGowan, Elbach, Tui, Haber, Kerr, Whiten and Higgins. That's the Dundee team, Ruffy. Your reaction to that? They need results, they need goals.
Yeah, they certainly do. And it's a home game, you know, that they haven't been playing particularly well just now. But they've got players in there, you know, that can win games for them. You would think with home advantage I keep saying it every week, Hamilton don't seem to have 2 goals in them. So you would think, if Dundee were to manage to get 2 goals today, they'd win that game. But they desperately need that. Really, really, they're on a right downer just now. And I know the Hamilton will come up there and they'll fight and they'll battle away for each other. But I just got a funny feeling Dundee will win that one.
Well, their actual form's the poorest of the bottom 5 teams, Peter. Dundee. 5 defeats in a row they've had, and that's why this is a crucial game for them, because if you look above them, Ross County aren't going to pick up points this weekend because they've got Celtic, right? So that if you're looking at the bottom 5 teams and then the other 4 are playing each other, so depending how results go, that's why if Inverness were to get a victory today at Motherwell, it could really tighten things up, especially if Motherwell, say the Dundee-Hamilton game ends in a draw and Inverness were to get a win. You're bringing those teams really close together and there's not much in it then, and then the amazing thing is, and that's what's the one good thing about the change in Scottish football when you get the break and the league changes, you've got all these teams are playing against each other. So that's what's fantastic about it, in terms of how the league's structured, because you're looking at, they've got an opportunity then to take points off teams who are down beside them.
Aki's team: Matthews, Scondras, Devlin, Imrie, Docherty, DeCall and Bingham, McKinnon, Donati and McMahon. If Dundee's predicament is dire, it's the same for Hamilton. Aki's, Hugh.
Very much so. Another huge task for them this afternoon. Dundee, though, are we always talk about relegation struggles as a team that just slips almost from what we thought was a fairly safe position into a really poor one. And Dundee are fulfilling that role this season. Yeah. I think it's interesting. I think Hartley's picked out Elback Tui and Whiten, 2 very young players, but 2 forward-going players, 2 players that are technically great players. Yeah. And he's obviously going to try and play his way out of trouble. So I'll be interested to see how that goes today, and you applaud him for that. But of course, you only get the real applause if he comes up with 3 points today. I mean, two crucial games for. It's the thing about relegation as well. It's crucial for the whole fabric of the club. I mean, there's guys playing for their jobs here. There'll be people in the background here, physios, support staff, etc. They'll all be saying, what's going to happen to us next season? Do our contracts get renewed, etc., etc. These games are real full attention.
St Johnstone against Aberdeen is a battle, of course. Europa League is very much at the forefront of everyone's thoughts, especially with these 2 clubs in mind. And Tommy Wright certainly will battle right to the end to try and get as many points as possible. He's another manager deserving of praise for what they've achieved this season. The St Johnstone side: Manus, Easton, Shaughnessy, Foster, Scobie, Alston, Witherspoon, Coulson, Payton, Craig and McLean. Roffey.
Yeah, I think this will be a tight one today. I think it's will be a hard one to call. Obviously, St Johnstone with the home advantage, and as you said there, the players have been in Europe before. They know what it's like for the supporters and the players. They'll be fighting tooth and nail. Obviously, Aberdeen a bad result last weekend. We're just waiting to see if they get some kind of reaction today. But I think there won't be much between this, and I think I'll probably go for a draw in this one today.
I think they'll want to bounce back, Peter, Aberdeen, because they had an opportunity, a 12-point lead over Rangers for that second spot, and now it's down to 9. No Rangers are at home today, possibility they could win, so they won't want to go to Perth and lose this game. The funny thing, the 2 matches between the clubs this season have both been 0-0 draws so far, which is quite a shock when you think the goal-scoring players are on both sides. But it's going to be a tough one, as I say. I think the good thing from Aberdeen's point of view is that St Johnstone appear to be in most cases better away from home than they are at home.
One of the reasons why we avoided that game, Gordon, we didn't want a 0-0. Lewis, Logan, Shinnie, Considine, Taylor, McLean, Christie, Rooney, Hayes, O'Connor and Jack. And no surprise, the Aberdeen manager is quick to emphasise to his players they need to keep their concentration levels at a high. Okay, we'll come back to Derek McInnes just shortly, but no McGinn in their side.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, what the obvious knee-jerk reaction is that they've got no, they're just going to, play the end of the season without him because he's not going to be a part of the team.
They might be changing the system a bit today, Hugh, just to be tight so that they don't get that in the way.
It could be that as well. I think though, you know, you've got to prepare for life pretty quickly without players as well. So, you know, whether it's formation or it's individual, he's moving forward with it. It would appear that, you know, Niall's got something, you know, pretty concrete down south, and I think there'll be interest in a couple other. I mean, the Ryan Jack situation is fluid, shall we say, and I think clubs will be looking at Johnny Hayes during the summer as well. Championship clubs. I think he's definitely a you know, championship class player.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think now we see players looking at the championship. Agents are getting good money at good clubs, and they're obviously, when the player, I mean, Boy Jack's been up here for 2 or 3 seasons, so obviously there comes a time when you say, well, I want to try the big time, I want to see if I can break in to maybe a bigger club, and I think he will move as well.
Here's the Aberdeen manager Derek McInnes on the opposition today, of course, St Johnstone.
I think the performance at the weekend was decent. I thought we were a better team, and it came from nowhere really. I think, you know, it was nothing Rangers did any different. It was more we beat ourselves really, and I think the need for, you know, concentration and full focus was epitomised maybe in that game. You know, as good as we were in the game and being a better team. So I think it's important that when we certainly play the better teams, and we're going to be facing them over the next wee while now, that need for concentration is vitally important.
Okay, there you have it. That's the Premiership to look forward to today. Some very tasty games indeed. We're getting ever closer to the kick-off. These lads will offer their prediction on all 4 games in the Premiership. And we'll look ahead to Ross County against Celtic. You'll hear from the Celtic manager, Brendan Rodgers, a little later on in the programme. Don't forget, you can give us your view on this afternoon's football, what you think about your team or anything that's annoying you in Scottish football. At Peter and Ruffy on Twitter and facebook.com/Peter and Ruffy. We'll be going to Easter Road. Des McKeown is there for us. We'll be talking to him about Hibs' chances of wrapping up the championship today. There could be title celebrations in the capital. Hibs could be heading back to the Premiership and getting ready to resume the rivalry with Hearts and a few other teams in the top flight. Join us after the break. Okay. Welcome back to Peter and Ruffy's Saturday Football Show. We're getting ever closer to the big kick-off across Scotland. All 4 divisions. We'll bring you the fixtures very shortly that you can concentrate on. We'll also look at the English Premier League as well. One match has already finished. Tottenham ran out 4-0 winners against Bournemouth and putting a little bit of pressure on Chelsea at the top. Maybe it's not done and dusted just yet. You can give us your view on that as well. We'll be heading off to Easter Road shortly because Hibs could clinch the Championship and head back to the Premiership if results, beg your pardon, go their way over the course of the afternoon. And this is what the Hibs boss Neil Lennon had to say about the possible title.
Nice to win the league in front of your home crowd. Again, can't speak highly enough of the support this season. Hopefully there'll be another good turnout and the players can feed off that. The most important thing is to win the game, and if we can do it with a bit of style, so be it. And if we win, then we can't dictate what other teams do, but it'll be almost impossible for us not to win the league then, and we can focus totally on Aberdeen.
So there's Neil Lennon with the prospect of being in the dugout for the Cup semi-final against Aberdeen, which I think Des McKeown will be a huge bonus for him because he really didn't want to be watching the semi-final from the stands.
No, absolutely, Peter, and I think that when you see Neil's influence in the team and from the interviews outside the stadium earlier, the fans know alone, how much of an influence he has over matters on the pitch during the 90 minutes. So from that perspective, the fact that he will be in the dugout is a huge bonus for Hibs.
And what do you make of the team he selected today, Des?
Well, 2 changes it is, Peter. It's Fraser Fivey and Andy Shinnie. They come in for Marvin Bartley and Brian Graham. It's very much of a muchness for Hibs under Neil Lennon. A very solid back 4, a very fluid midfield, and Jason Cummins up top looking to snatch goals. So that means that Neil Lennon has picked for their team today, Offer Marciano in goals, a back 4 of David Gray, Effie Ambrose, Darren McGregor and Lewis Stevenson. Midfield 4 of Martin Boyle, Fraser Fivey, Dylan McGeoch and John McGinn, and Andrew Shinnie just playing off of Jason Cummins. That means Bartley drops to the bench along with Grant Holt, Jordan Forster, James Keatings, Brian Graham, Alex Harris and Ross Laidlaw. For Gary Naismith, Queen of the South's manager, he goes with the same team who defeated Ayr United last week, and they've now gone the last 3 games unbeaten, 2 wins on the bounce. Ayr United last week and also Dundee United just before that. It's the same 11, which that means it's Lee Robinson in goals, a back 4 of Kyle Jacobs, Chris Higgins, Dan Brownlee and Jordan Marshall. Midfield 4 of Dom Thomas, John Rankin, Joe Thompson, Lyndon Dykes and Danny Carmichael playing just off of ex-Hibby and goal scoring machine Stephen Dobie. On the bench it's Andy Dowie, Dale Hilson, Conor McManus, Scott Mercer, Conor Murray, Jack Layfield and Owen Bell. Our referee here at Easter Road is Barry Cook.
Who's going to win that match, Kev? Who's going to win that match, Des? Never mind Kevin.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, James, I think it's going to be a Hibs win. I think Gary Naismith is still finding his feet at Queen of the South. I think Hibs haven't been beaten here. They've only lost once since, I think, the 2nd of December. They've only been beaten once here in the league all season. They've had a few draws recently, but I think Hibs will get the job done today. I think they will win 3-1.
What do you make of that?
I think they'll win today as well. I think the crowd will will them to win. I think it's been a long, hard season. They haven't been getting the results, as Des was saying there. But I think today, I think if they can get an early goal, I think they'll run out quite easily winners.
Yeah, they've got a good home record, but it's amazing to think, Peter, of the last 8 league games, they've drawn 6 of them. They've only won 1 of the last 8 league games, which is incredible when you think they can win the league today. They're fortunate in that league. Teams are capable of beating each other. There's taking points off one another. The teams who are just below them have had bad runs, as we've seen before, Curtin Morton. I think because of the importance today, I think Hibs will win this.
I think it'll be a draw, and for the reasons that Gordon's outlined, that they've not won, they don't tend to be winning games a lot. I think Queen of the South under Gary Naismith are a real changed and strong proposition, and I think Stephen Dobie is a class act in that division, and he could cause problems today.
Yeah, Ruffy, if you're going to highlight anything that you think maybe they need, what is it, Hibs, if they're going to be stronger up in the top flight?
Well, I think we all identify every week if quality strikers, strikers that can get you 15, 20 goals, not just one striker but two strikers. When the main one isn't scoring, you've got somebody else who's chipping in, and that seems to be the failing with most of the teams in the Premier League. They don't have two strikers chipping in. So I think Neil would want a striker. We don't know what's going to happen to Cummins. You know, he's muted that he's maybe wanting to go down south, but it's not been talked about for a while. So I think a striker, midfield. We don't know what's going to happen with McGinn. So I think they're two priorities.
Okay, interesting stuff. Now, as far as the Premiership is concerned, give us your thoughts, lads. Who's going to win, Dundee, Hamilton? First of all, Ruffy.
I'm going to go for a Dundee win today.
I'm a draw in that one.
Dundee to win.
Dundee to win. Okay, Rangers against Partick Thistle.
A draw.
Do you genuinely believe a draw, Ruffy?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah,
I do. I think that, as the guys have said, they'll go there a bit relaxed about the whole situation. I think it'll be good enough to get a draw.
I think the lax won't help them, and that's why I think that because they've achieved their top 6 spot, I think Rangers are a team who will take a big boost from the game against Aberdeen. I think Rangers will win that game.
I think there's Thistle have got the capability of getting a draw.
Anybody going for St Johnstone against Aberdeen?
I think there's a possibility St Johnstone win that game, yeah.
Yeah, you're going to go for St Johnstone? Okay, we'll hold you to that. After the break, we'll be talking to Kevin Harper and getting his prediction on whether Motherwell can do it, or will it be Inverness celebrating an away win at Fir Park. Join us after the break.
So I think they'll go down to Motherwell today and they'll make it difficult. But I think they've got the raw end of the split, because I think their first 4 games of the split, 3 of them are away from home.
Yeah.
So in the position they're at now, they need to win today.
Yeah, we'll discuss the top 6 split and the bottom 6 split as the matches kick off as well. Here's the fixtures you can look forward to this afternoon on the Saturday Football Show. Kilmarnock Hearts 0-0 last night. We'll discuss the implications of that for Hearts and Killie. It's Dundee Hamilton, Motherwell Inverness, Rangers against Partick Thistle, St Johnstone against Aberdeen, and Ross County against Celtic is the 12:30 kick-off on the Sunday. We'll hear from Brendan Rodgers a little later in the programme. In the Championship, it's Dumbarton, Dunfermline, Falkirk against St Mirren, Hibernian face Queen of the South, Wraith Rovers Morton, and Ayr against Dundee United is the 5:15 kick-off. League One, Alloa against Brecon City, East Fife Peterhead, Queen's Park Albion Rovers, Stenhouse Muir against Livingston, and Stranraer against Airdrie. League 2 is Annan Athletic taking on Berwick Rangers, Arbroath at home to Edinburgh City, Clyde Elgin City, Montrose against Forfar, and Stirling Albion take on Cowdenbeath. Here's how it looks in the Premier League in England. That match, the early kick-off has finished. Tottenham 4, Bournemouth 0. It's Crystal Palace, Leicester City, Everton, Burnley, Stoke City against Hull City, Sunderland, West Ham, Watford against Swansea, and Southampton against Manchester City is the 5:30 kick-off this evening. That's what's on offer. If you can't make it out to a match, get yourself a cup of tea, sit back, interact with us, give us your thoughts, put your points to the panel at Peter and Ruffy on Twitter and Facebook.com/Peter and Ruffy. Thanks to David McDonald, who says, come on the Hibbies, today's the day, been in the Championship too long, such a big club with an average home gate of 17,000. He reckons Hibs will win 3-0, and he reckons St Mirren will defeat Falkirk by 2-0 at Easter Road. To paint that lovely picture for us is Des McKeown. The team should be coming out. What's the atmosphere like, Des?
It's building up, Peter. Yeah, terrific atmosphere already. Sun shining in Leith, and the stands around us are filling up very nicely. So teams aren't out just yet, but yes, big day for Hibs. Obviously, if they have a better result than Falkirk, and given that Dundee United have got a very, very outside chance of catching the Easter Road side, I don't think that's going to happen. But today could be a day of celebration for Hibs and all their fans. 3 seasons they've been in the second tier of Scottish football, and this is their chance, along with Neil Lennon at the helm, to take them back up into the top flight. So yeah, all very colourful around us, a lot of green and white scarves and flags, and as I said, the sun's shining. It's a good day down in Leith at the moment, and as the teams come out, we'll soon find out whether it's a good day for Hibernian Football Club.
Yeah, and just before they kick off, Des, a word on Neil Lennon. He's controversial, divisive, Marmite. You love him or hate him, it seems, in this country. But what has he added to Hibernian that maybe they didn't have under Alan Stubbs and previous managers to get out of that division?
Well, I think he's also had a little bit luck of the draw, I have to say, Peter. I think Hearts, when they came out of this division, were exceptional. I think Rangers last year were a decent proposition coming out of the division, and Alan Stubbs obviously didn't get them out of the Championship. I think Neil Lennon has added a bit of steel. He is not everyone's cup of tea, as you've said, but for Hibernian and for the players out in the pitch, he's the guy who has obviously taken on the pressure. He's taken on rebuilding a bit of a squad as well. He's made sure that they've managed to hold on to Jason Cummings, and along with the board of directors, they have delivered this season. And if it's not today, it will happen. They will go into the Premiership, and they are probably in a stronger position now than they were when they came out of the Premiership. They have some steel about them, and in Darren McGregor, I think they've got an absolutely inspirational individual. It's quite remarkable that Rangers, who have had struggles with central defenders, actually allowed them to leave to come to Easter Road. So we're just about to kick off here at Easter Road. We'll keep you informed of what's happening as Queen of the South Gate is underway.
Thanks to Des McKeown, Alan Rough, Gordon Smith and Hugh McDonald are with me here talking of Hibs, and now switching our attention to their rivals Hearts. Last night it finished 0-0. Hugh McDonald, a disappointing game. Chris Boyd had a couple of chances to maybe win it for Killie, one especially right at the death. But again, this is a Hearts side that just haven't been able to get the points on board. But Anne Budge has come out this week and said Cathro picks the team, and there's a long-term plan here for Hearts.
Well, I mean, I think that'll be good news for Ian Cathro, because it would indicate that no matter what happens after the split, that he's going to get a summer where he can work with the players and recruit. And I think so it should be. I think there's two. We've spoken about this before. I think this appointment polarised certain elements in Scottish football, making him a lightning rod for criticism, and also making him a lightning rod for praise. Everybody wanted Cathro to further their agendas. So I think he should be given time, of course, given the summer and see how they perform next year.
It's an interesting thing, Hugh, because last night, everybody was saying, going down to Kilmarnock and all that. I didn't think they would win the game. You know why? Because their away record is
poor. I know.
I mean, they won in August and September, Peter. They won 2 away games. Then they hadn't won an away game. They then won at Motherwell. In fact, 2 of the 3 wins they've actually had away from home this season have been at Motherwell.
Yeah.
Right? Now, there's only 2 teams with less away wins in the whole Scottish League, and they're 2 of the bottom teams, Inverness, who won 1 game, and Hamilton, who haven't won away at all. Other than that, Hearts have got the worst away record.
Yeah, well, 5 wins in 21 games, Ruffy, and the manager conceded last night that it's actually starting to affect the players.
So it should be. I think anybody's part of a football team and things aren't going well with that kind of record. It's a pretty dismal place to be coming into your work in the morning, because everybody's under pressure. Everybody, wants to win games, but it's not happening. It's just day to day. It can be pretty miserable, but. Yeah, he's going to get to the end of the year anyway. He's an appointment made by Budge and Craig Levein. They're not going to be seen to be, hastily sacking somebody. So he'll get time. And again, they'll have to come up with something to appease the fans, because these fans have been loyal through and through to the club. And there'll be murmurings in the background, where they're going to end up if they don't get into Europe. So they'll have to come up with something to keep them on board, whether it's signings early on or doing things at the club. Obviously they've got the stadium getting refurbished and that, but they'll have to come up with something, because these Hearts supporters will be disappointed if it ends up the way
I think they've got after the split, Peter, I think they've got quite a few away games because of the stand getting done.
Yeah.
And with that away record they've got, Partick Thistle would see themselves in a good position to actually catch them.
Well, that's the point I was going to make to you. When you look at Partick Thistle, only 4 points behind them with the game in hand, albeit against Rangers today.
Yeah.
Can you see them catch them? Do you think they could do it?
You never know, because I say Thistle depends how, if they can keep themselves going. As I said, one of the things that I've seen sometimes in football is Thistle were trying to achieve top 6 spot, and you see quite a lot of the times when a team achieves something, they dip, don't they, because they've reached their goal. So I think Alan Archibald has to get them motivated. I know you had him in as a guest, and he maybe was talking about that, how the next motivation is to try and catch Hearts who are above them. But it's only a 4-point gap. Today would be a big help if Thistle managed to pick up a point. But as I say, with Hearts having these games away from home now, with the away record they've got, then Thistle might look at it and think, we've got a chance of catching them.
I think so. I think Thistle will be looking at things and saying, "Yep, our season's not finished. We can go on a run here." There's certainly, if you look at psychologically, I would say the Thistle dressing room will be in a better place than the Hearts one. I think there's an opportunity for Thistle just to make it, and really breathtaking season. But the only thing about Thistle is that I think Thistle look back in the day they went to Aberdeen in the Cup, played well, beat that day, because a wee cup run would really have wouldn't have a lot of goals coming in. Peter, one interesting goal was Cowdenbeath in League 2, scoring against going a 1-0 up against Stirling, because that puts great pressure on Clyde today.
Yep, okay. The goals coming in, and of course, if Macca was in the studio today, he'd be jumping up and down, Ruffy, because West Ham are already a goal up on Sunderland. I think we're just waiting now for the white flag to go up and Sunderland to start to think about the Championship in England.
And Leicester have just scored, Peter, as well, away from home to Crystal Palace. That's a big game today. Crystal Palace are trying to get the points to get up towards Leicester, but Leicester have gone ahead too.
Yeah, obviously, Macca was a bit worried about West Ham. They've been off the rails there. He's beginning. There's lots of things happening behind the scenes down there. Obviously, the fans aren't happy with the stadium and all that. So yeah, they an important win for them today was just to take them well away from that relegation.
Yep, Andre Ayew getting the goal for West Ham there to give them the lead at the Stadium of Light. It's not been great for the Sunderland fans to watch week in, week out. It doesn't seem to be. It doesn't seem to make any difference. I mean, if anything, Sam Allardyce made a difference to him. He kept him in the division last season, Hugh.
Well, yeah, and so, I mean, all the previous managers did that as well. St Mirren have just scored, incidentally, Peter, against Falkirk, a big goal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean the Sunderland thing is, I mean they've been. It's like that. It's like the guy who keeps stumbling drunk on
Motherwell scored, Hugh.
Motherwell
Motherwell
but Sunderland ones have been flirting with danger all the time. You think at one point they'd have said, we'll have to really revamp this club and go forward. And I think what they're going to have to do is going to have to revamp the club in the cold waters of the Championship. And again, as we said about possibly Inverness and others going down to the Championship. OK, they'll get a big parachute payment for going down, but there's no guarantee you're coming back up. There's good sides down there.
Yeah, I have to say to you, Ruffy, Rory Loy scoring for St Mirren, and again, St Mirren just off to a flyer, and what a major boost at Fir Park for Motherwell, a goal up. Yeah, Motherwell's a big one, isn't it? We spoke about it earlier. I think if Motherwell were to see this one out, I think Inverness would be doomed to be that bottom side, but still a wee while to go yet.
It's a long way to go, but I thought the first goal would be crucial, Peter, in that game. I think that because of what I've seen of Inverness so far, they've found it very tough any time they go behind, so that's a great start for Motherwell. And a great start, as I say, for St Mirren. I mean, the form they're in, I was like you. I remember talking to you earlier before the show, Peter. You quite fancy St Mirren, so did I today. I think they're in that kind of form that they can get an away win. Well,
to be honest with you, Gordon, usually you and me are in perfect harmony on a Saturday afternoon. There's only one person who was potentially going to pick Falkirk, and if he's looking smug by 4:45, I'll be absolutely gobsmacked. But nevertheless, what have we got on our treble, Ruffy?
Yeah, well, unfortunately you took St Mirren and I'd taken Falkirk, so I wavered with your selection rather than mine, so I took Falkirk out of the equation, and Motherwell, and Gordon's got Dundee United.
Oh, that's a nice treble. And it's still a long way to go, of course, in all the matches. It was interesting. I was talking to, about 3 or 4 weeks ago before the Iron Brew Cup final. I talked to Gordon Scott, the chairman of St Mirren, and I was asking him about how he felt about the season, and he was so bullishly optimistic. He said, do you know what? I would take winning a cup and finishing 6th. Now he didn't win the cup, but you could see why he was so optimistic, and he was talking Jack Ross up to the high heavens. He says, no, we've no problem with the manager, no problem with the players, everything's going, and the form has been astonishing. The form's been championship winning form.
Hugh, there's a big goal, and it looks as if this goal could be a real nerve settler. Gordon, Louis Moult has scored for Motherwell 2-0.
Absolutely, I thought that was a key player getting back in today. Louis Moult is a very good player, very good goal scorer. As I said, I always thought the key element today was Motherwell getting the first goal. Because as I say, I've seen it so often with Inverness, it's like, they can do all right for a little spell. As soon as they go behind, they seem to panic. And that's what's maybe the case again today, because it's going to be tough. You think the form Inverness have, it's going to be tough for them to pull back 2 goals, even though there's another 78 minutes to go.
Well, I think the confidence is gone. Just looking at that goal there at Fawn Williams, he's just completely and utterly misread the cross there, and it sneaks in.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. He is a top-class goalkeeper, but he is prone to making mistakes, and unfortunately him, if he has made a mistake for that second goal, it's going to be the crucial one.
Yep, Rory Loy scoring the goal at the Falkirk Stadium to give St Mirren the lead. It hasn't been great as far as the goal scoring stakes are concerned for Rory Loy Gordon-Smith. I watched him in midweek and I thought his work rate was superb. He created one of the goals and he really was a player who run himself into the ground. So sometimes managers notice that, okay, you're a striker, you're paid to score goals, but there's other elements to his game.
Absolutely. There are some strikers, the only thing they do offer is putting the ball in the net. And it's quite a lot of the case. You can name names, but if they don't score, you're playing with 10 men. But Loy's not like that, and that's one of the elements I think that managers do like, the fact that he works hard, he gives defences problems, and other people can exploit that. Other teammates maybe pick up on that basis, and it was a very good win. I mean, you were there, Peter. Obviously, it was a bit of a shock, the actual scoreline. I thought St Mirren could do well there, but to win 4-1 at Morton, what is basically a derby game, was a tremendous result, wasn't it?
See, on strikers, who was the best? You played a lot of times in twos. That was the way it was then, wasn't it? 4-4-2.
Well,
who was the best?
I was playing more in midfield than being up front. I played with two at Kilmarnock were actually good, but they were both good headers of the ball. It was Eddie Morrison and Ian Fleming. They were the two strikers, and it was a case of getting the ball as often as you could into the box in the air, because they were both good in the air. But when I played at Rangers, we played with Derek Johnson, his own up front. Now, Derek wasn't the most mobile player, as you know, but he was actually very clever. He was a good striker, good touch, good ability, and could you didn't have to shout with Derek. If you made a run, he saw you, and he seemed to play the ball into your path. So he was good. Another one I played with was Mick Robinson at Brighton, was a very good player. Liverpool bought him after the first season, and he was a very active player.
He's out in Spain now.
He lives in Spain. He does. I think he does television.
And the strange thing about it, actually, and I don't know why it happens, Hugh, but when they go to Spain, they all start sweeping their hair back. Have you noticed that, Rocky? I mean, we went out to see Steve Archibald, and he had his hair swept back.
Maybe I should go to Spain.
Well, it's almost as
I
if
could get some hair.
It's almost as if they're looking for a part in the Goodfellas 2 movie. But yeah, Steve Robinson, and he actually presents a football programme out there too.
He does, yeah.
Does very well. Just on the point here, we're talking about players that are always catching the eye, because Scottish football, a lot of players will be cherry-picked. One of the sellable assets, I think, for Motherwell is Chris Cadden. He scored the first goal of theirs too today, Ruffy.
Yeah, he's another one that I suppose will be, if you go along to grounds at this precise moment of the season, there'll be scouts, from English clubs, and they'll be up actively looking at our young players and seeing which are the ones they think can adapt into the English football, and he certainly will be one of them. He's already been introduced to the I think it's the under-21 team, and he's been doing well there, so he'll be on a few clubs' list at the end of the season.
Well, he is only 20 still, and I think you're right, Peter. I think teams have been looking at him. I think that he's one of the players that's brought attention to himself. He's got the first goal today, but he's also a player who does do a lot of work as well.
Exactly. He's really physically strong for 20 as well, and not just in the tackle, but actually coming up and down the park, shuttling wide. I really rate him as well. I agree with Gordon Moult. I mean, I've watched Moult quite, a few times this season, and it's not just his finishing, but the way he finishes. He's got very good technique.
Yeah.
And I could see clubs going around him.
You're right, Hugh. They seem to take a bit of confidence as well, the fact that he was coming back today.
Exactly.
And I think that's been a key element for the team. We've got our main striker back in the team today.
Yep, Stranraer, a goal up on Airdrieonians. Mark McGuigan scoring the goal. There's a goal at Easter Road. A huge noise in the background. Is it for the home side? Des McKeown.
Yes, it is, Peter. It is Hibernian 1, Queen of the South 0. It's a deep free kick from John McGinn just down in front of us towards the back post. Darren McGregor coming in. He's lifted the header back across Lee Robinson's goal. It drops in at the back post. It's 1-0 to champions-elect Hibernian.
So, the perfect start, Ruffy.
Yeah, fantastic. Generally, when you get a centre-half up there, try to header the ball back across the goal, it's for somebody else, but he's obviously looped it into the top corner, and I think Des spoke about him at the beginning of the show there. Fantastic signing, I've been really impressed with him any time I've saw him, and he's getting better and better, so they've won a watch with him.
Yep, just an enforced change for Inverness in that match at Motherwell. Carol Tremarco has had to go off for McNaughton. So there you are. It's I think Tremarco and Cadden were involved in a little challenge, and Tremarco seems to have come off the worst in that exchange there. So an enforced change in the match, but Motherwell in the ascendancy, certainly in control. 2 goals to the good. Louis Moult back in the team, scores a goal after Chris Cadden had given the Lanarkshire side the lead in that match. And the big one at the Falkirk Stadium is Rory Loy, the hero for St Mirren so far. It's a remarkable run Jack Ross's side are on. The confidence just rippling through the side. And we've had Stephen McGinn on the show as well, just talking about the players feeling so confident. We had, would you believe, Stevie Mallon in midweek as well, Hugh. A player that I think a lot of people will be looking at.
Absolutely. Bang on, Peter. He's one. The St Mirren midfield has got really dynamic and creative, and he's part of that. And I think people have looked at it, and these scouts now are exhaustive in their searches, as Gordon will know from his time, at Rangers. And I mean, people are really going around games and monitoring players all the time, and they'll see how well Mallon's playing. I think, Jack Ross is obviously energised them in the second half of the season as well. McGinn's a smashing player at that level as well. So there'll be a few being looked at the moment.
Yeah, I've got to just jog your memory, guys, because a lot has been made of Celtic celebrating the 50th anniversary of them winning the European Cup, and rightly so. But today is the anniversary 50 years ago where the Scotland players travelled down to Wembley to take on the world champions England in the home international in 1967. And would you believe it, we defeated the world champions by 3-2, which, as you know, if you live in Scotland, means we're the world champions. That's the way we looked at it. And Dennis Law, in his pomp and glory, that's how I remember Dennis Law holding his shirt and his one fist up in the air, Gordon Smith.
Yeah, he would love that, Dennis Law. He was a tremendous player. There's no doubt about it that he was top class. I mean, he went and played in Italy and all that sort of thing, and that was special in those days. What if an Italian team wanted any British players, whatever? So great record, Manchester United and for Scotland. And I remember that day. I think I was about 12 years of age at the time, but it was one of those special days when, you're thinking, England are world champions. What a great team they've got. Bobby Charlton, Bobby Moore and all that. And Scotland went down there, and by the end of the game, I'll never forget one of my favourite players at that time, because I'd seen him playing, going to matches and seen him playing. My family used to take me to Kilmarnock games. It was Jim Baxter, and I'll never forget the fact that he was, and there's great stories about it now, that he decided the other players wanted to score more goals. He just decided to take the mickey and keep the ball up, and that made it special. The fact that Scotland just were like saying, we're better than you. Yeah,
I'm surprised Jack Charlton didn't try to keep Jim Baxter up in the air as soon as he played keepy uppy. But of course, Dennis Law, Bobby Lennox, Jim McCalliog scored the goal. I think Jack Charlton scored the first one for England before Jeff Hurst got another consolation for them. But great days. Of course, rather than getting nostalgic and forgetting the actual facts of football in those days, we had tremendously talented players, all relevant to other countries, Ruffy. We still couldn't make it to the 1968 European Championships, despite the quality we had at our disposal, and the fact that in that particular year we had Rangers in the Cup Winners' Cup, we had Celtic winning the European Cup. I mean, it was just a special time. Kilmarnock were in the Fairs Cup.
Yeah, it'd be disappointing for the players of that era who to never make a big occasion, a big finals. It's always something that you look back on, and certainly players in that team, should have been there because they were absolute quality. But they had a lot of success with the clubs that they were at, which I'm sure they'll always reflect on as well.
Yeah, you look back though, I think in '62 we went out to Czechoslovakia, and then the consolation was they got to the final of the World Cup.
It was a playoff we went out.
That's right, and they got to the final to play Brazil in '62. But the '66 one must have been a big disappointment with the players we had. Yeah. We didn't get to play in England for the World Cup. Who put us out that time?
That was Italy.
Was it?
That was
John.
We won over here, but 1-0. But we went to Italy. We Jockstein as a manager, briefly in charge. I can't remember why, but it was maybe somebody had taken it anyway. But we had a very depleted team, and we ended up, I think we had to play Ron Yates at centre forward or something like that. We had,
was Ian McCall the manager?
I think it might have been.
And I think was there other good sides in the group?
Well, there's only one team that go through for the groups. This is the problem. See, like, I mean, people say, why didn't we do this and why did we do that? Because there was no second place getting through. There was no playoffs and the third place team got through. If you're in a group with Czechoslovakia, well, you had to beat Czechoslovakia. If you're in a group with Italy, well, you had to beat Italy. That was the way of it. It's Italy.
You're absolutely right, Hugh. In fairness, and even in the early 60s, Italian football was strong, wasn't it? Milan into Milan.
The two Milans were so it was very, very difficult to qualify. I mean, I think, running Inverness have pulled a goal back. Interestingly, but in those days, the Scotland team really had difficulties qualifying against really, really good squads, and the teams that beat them, like Czechoslovakia, I mean, they went straight to the final in Chile, and beat a very good Brazilian team 3-1 in the final. But that's what people forget, how difficult it was to qualify. But even saying that, the quality that we had then, the 1967, that both Glasgow teams could be contesting the major European finals.
Falk equalised too against the Mint.
The goals flying in.
The goals flying in, and of course Inverness pulling one back. I think Greg Tansey's shot's taken a little deflection there. Nevertheless, still makes it interesting in that game. It just shows you that Motherwell are missing the likes of Steve McManus. We had him as a guest in midweek as well, Ruffy. You only start to see the value of certain players when their experience is lost in the back line for Motherwell.
Well, one of the strengths of Motherwell was the back four. They had a very settled back four, but for a large part of this season they lost their back four. I think there was one game there was two young boys playing at full backs. They had a lone player, the boy Jules, playing at centre half, and that's why they've been losing goals. But I think, as we all discussed about it, it's a front two that cause you problems, and if they can get back into scoring goals, then they shouldn't have a problem.
To be fair, that'll be a big lift in Inverness. I mean, the game is early on, but to be down 2-0 away from home, they've lost a player, as you said, Peter, through injury. And then, to come back to 2-1, that'll give them a lift, no doubt about that.
Yep. OK, we're going to keep you up to date with the goals. Aberdeen have taken the lead. Ryan Christie scoring the goal there. So there's a crucial one. We haven't actually heard too much from Ryan Christie as a regular starter for Aberdeen, Ruffy, because he's been dropped to the bench from time to time. I just wonder about his long-term future at Celtic.
Well, I personally think there should be. I think he's a quality player. I think he's definitely got everything that you look for in a midfield player. He's got a lot of balance. He can score goals. He just looks as if he's going to be a top player for the future. Yeah. And obviously Aberdeen have been loyal to their own players, because he's a lone player, obviously. But I think they'll use him more and more now with the games running out.
Is he coming because McGinn was left out today, Peter? Is that why Christie's playing? I think Brendan Rodgers has looked at him and just thought, you are very close to the first team, but you're not quite there yet. So rather than have you just sitting about the bench here, I'm going to put you out to get the experience that's required. I think that's why he's at Aberdeen.
What about this one, Hugh? Dundee 0, Hamilton Accies 1. Alex de Call from the penalty spot, and the Dark Blues are under intense pressure now, Hugh.
Well, Gordon pointed out, lost the last 5. We all thought, they've jumped out the plane without the parachute. They're the team with the negative momentum, if you could put it that way. That's a goal where you just look around your team now and you go, well, who's the men here? Who's up for this? Who's up for this fight now? Because that is a huge fight they've got in their hands now.
And just looking at that Ryan Christie goal, he's picked the ball up and he's gone past 2 men, Ruffy, and then fired it into the back of the net, well past Manus. And if ever a man is posting intent, I'm sure Brendan Rodgers will be keeping an eye on what he's doing for Aberdeen.
Yeah, and that's what I said he's good at. He's good at, we don't see, I don't think modern day football, we see enough people going by players, and taking a shot on, and he certainly does that. And as I said earlier, I think he's a superb player for the future.
And he's also, though, there's real competition, Peter, at Celtic Park. I mean, they brought in the new boy, the Abui, and they've also got Broderick's fit again. I think there's a future for Liam Henderson there. Callum McGregor is getting praised. I like Liam Henderson. I think Callum McGregor is getting praised to the manager's praising. Plus, Brendan Rodgers has said that one of his targets in the summer, one of his main priorities will be to bring in a midfielder.
I think
already got Scott Brown.
Exactly. I think that's why he's giving them games out the way.
Exactly.
Because the boy wasn't going to make the first team.
So it's a huge...
Brendan Rodgers is not going to give him players a trial. He's got a motivational plan to win every game or not lose a single game and win the treble, isn't he?
Yeah, and he's on the hunt, and he's already highlighted the Celtic manager. They're looking for 3 players, central defender, a number 10 and a striker, and all of these players, even if it is a £15 million transfer kitty or possibly more, who knows. Henry Onyekuru is another man that they've been linked with. This is a striker who's been scoring goals for Epping by the barrel load. So, he's clearly out there scouting them, and Onyekuru confirmed that Celtic have been looking at him.
Yeah, well, it seems to be that's the way ahead. It's a different kind of young player that they're looking at now from what Ronnie Delia was looking at. There seems to be a better quality of young player, somebody who is, nearly established themselves at another club, and they would be quite happy to pay $2 million for a young player if they can see what his worth is going to be in the future. Yeah, fight back's on. Gordon Smith. Khazri scored for Sunderland. Suddenly the Sunderland fans get a chance to cuddle each other, albeit there's 5 seats between you and the next person sitting to you.
Hopefully a lot of them didn't leave when West Ham scored that for about 10 minutes, because that's what Sunderland fans have been known this season to be leaving in their droves some of the times during the games. But at least they've got an equaliser now, and that, as you say, that will be a boost. I still cannot see them staying up. No. To be honest with you, I don't think there's any chance in Peter. But maybe they need to just get a little bit of boost, get results, and hopefully then David Moyes is seen as the guy that can take them to the next stage next season and have them challenging again in the Championship. But I just don't think there's any chance of staying up.
I just want to mention something. I should have actually mentioned it at the top of the programme, but again, trying to get through so many bits of information on team news. And it's a sad bit of news. The St Johnstone tea lady, Aggie Moffat, has passed away. I think it's 72 years of age. The St Johnstone players are wearing black armbands today as a mark of respect. Of course, you think to yourself, OK, it's a tea lady. It's a crucial part of, the mechanics of a football club. There's so many people who do vital jobs. Aggie really came to prominence with her battle with Graham Souness, which I thought was just a great back page lead. And in the second altercation, apparently, Souness said when he had another run in with her, he thought it's time to leave Scottish football.
He'd met his match. The hard man of football had met his match in Aggie. I mean, I think anybody that's been round about Perth and St Johnstone over the years, like we all have, would know Aggie and see Aggie up there. And as you say, a great part of clubs that I always remember, like seeing Alec Ferguson at Old Trafford one day, an on football day, walking through Old Trafford, and he knew everybody.
Really, yeah.
He knew, he's putting, how are you doing, Jane? How's the husband? And how's it? And even at clubs, all these people in the background that really throw their lives into clubs.
Well, I think she'll be sadly missed in a great part of the rich tapestry of St Johnstone Football Club. I've got to read you this quote because I picked up on it this morning, and I just thought it just summed up, the brilliance of the lady and Scottish football, Gordon. This is a quote from Aggie in the Scotsman in 2001. She was reacting, of course, to the altercation with Graham Souness many years after it. She said, "He's just a plonker. He always will be. I never liked the man. I never will. If he'd come back the next season, I would have finished it. His nose would have been splattered all over his face. That's the only thing I regret not happening, that I didn't finish it. I should have broken his big nose." Which is fantastic, Robbie, isn't it? And Souness has said she stormed up to see her chairman, and I followed up behind her. I had an argument with her chairman, and I knew within myself that I was ready to explode. It was on that trip that I decided I've got to get out of here.
That's brilliant.
Yeah, I mean, you come up against a woman like that, it's her husband I fear for, if that's what she's like.
I think Sky TV should have had her on as a guest, shouldn't they, when Graham Souness was on. on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Given some good discussions.
It'd be better than Jamie Redknapp.
Yeah, I'm sure Graham would look back with fondness now and again would pass on his condolences to the family. A great loss and a vital part of what Scottish football is all about. The fabric of any club is so many different people in the background performing so many vital roles, and Aggie was one of them, and well remembered by the St Johnstone players today. This is the Saturday Football Show. We're delighted to have your company. If you want to interact with us, you can do. Facebook.com/Peter and Ruffy and at Peter and Ruffy on Twitter. Donald McLeod said, my tips are Celtic to win, Partick Thistle, St Johnstone, Motherwell and Dundee. Have a great Easter weekend, lads. Well, there's a collection of predictions, Ruffy, that if they all come up, Donny might have a few quid in his pocket.
Well, I don't think it's looking done and dusted, the teams you read out. You know, obviously Aberdeen are winning, but all the other ones are quite evenly balanced.
Partick's still a draw with Rangers, so that's a tight match, obviously, at Ibrox.
Yeah, I'm beginning to fall into the category with Hugh. I'm beginning to worry about Clyde now. You know, I'm beginning to worry about Clyde getting into this playoff position and losing their status. You know, because obviously Cowdenbeath are winning. You know, so. It's a shame, but it just shows you what happens when a club moves from their identity to somewhere where they're not accepted, and they just go on free fall, and that seems to be what's happening there.
Yeah, Gordon, you weren't on last week's programme, and I wanted to get your thoughts on this. We announced what we thought would be the 5 nominations for, or 5 good nominations for the PFA Scotland Player of the Year. They haven't been released because at this point they're going round all the clubs taking the votes as late as they possibly can. We had 5 players in the mix, obviously Moussa Dembele, Stuart Armstrong, Scott Sinclair, Scott Brown and Kenny Miller. Have we missed anyone? Have we missed anyone that you think maybe we're being unkind?
The only one I thought maybe could be added to that was Johnny Hayes.
Yeah.
I think Hayes has had a very good season, and I think that I would put him, because it's quite different. I mean, sometimes it's easier to get a nomination for Player of the Year if you're also playing alongside other top class players in the best team and all that sort of thing. So that's why the Celtic ones, it's more comfortable for them. It might be even easier to pick just 5 Celtic players in total and not pick anybody else. But Kenny Miller's had a really good season. I'm not sure I would say I'd have him in the nominations for the Player of the Year though. No,
I would have Johnny Hayes in. But my Player of the Year by a street length is Scott Sinclair. I just think he has been the best player in Scotland. I think Celtic are a different team when he doesn't play. I think he's an EPL Premiership player playing in the Scottish Premiership. Revitalised his career by coming up here. Not only is he a superb finisher with a lot of pace, but the way he can find little angles and the way he helps other players play well. I just think he's the real quality player in Scotland.
What about Kieran Tierney as well? Was he not mentioned?
I think Kieran Tierney will be a nomination, possibly for young player.
Yeah.
The only thing that Ruffy and I were talking about with Kieran Tierney is potentially the fact that he's missed a bit of the season with injury. Whether that influences people, because players sometimes only look as far back as 2 weeks ago.
I think you're right to an extent. He did miss a few games injury, but he also has established himself now as a Scotland player. And the amazing thing about him was he established himself as a right back.
There's a suggestion, Gordon, that Moussa Dembele could win both.
A young player as well.
Yeah,
he has his age for that. That's true in terms of his goal scoring. But he's missing a few games with injury now too at the moment, isn't he? So
but 32 goals is some haul, isn't it?
Oh, it's definitely top class.
He's top class as well. But I just think
Sinclair's been better. Yeah,
I just think Sinclair's quality and improving quality as well, and a player that. It was one of those perfect storms for Celtic. It was a player who has, just fallen from great heights for a variety of reasons, and then can come to Celtic because of a previous relationship with the manager, and it's just made in heaven.
I'm getting the feeling, Ruffy, at Fir Park, it's getting a bit nervy for Motherwell. Just edged in front by 2-1, but they're now starting. That confidence has been just slowly but surely been chipped away at by Inverness after they got that goal back.
Yeah, I always feel that when you're winning 2-0 and then you lose a goal, it sets you back 10-15 minutes. So you're now caught in the situation when you were winning 2-0, you're all enjoying yourself. passing's going well, everybody's in a high, there's a smile on your face, and then all of a sudden there's a goal goes in, and then that wee bit of fear thing was into your play, and it just sets you back. And obviously Inverness are taking advantage of that.
Yep, Alex Fisher scoring that goal for Inverness to give them a little bit of hope. We'll hear from Kevin Harper just before we get to half-time. And what about Easter Road? Well, they're celebrating they were a goal ahead in that match. I wonder what's happening now with the potential champions on the day. Des McKeown is there for us.
Yeah, it's still Hibs in the ascendancy, Peter. It's still 1-0. We've got 34 minutes gone. Hibs have had a number of different chances. Martin Boyle went close. Andy Shinnie should have done better about 2 minutes ago when he just dragged a shot wide. But I have to say, Marciano made an unbelievable save from Stephen Dobie on the 16-minute mark. Very soon after, Hibs had taken the lead. So from that perspective, Queen of the South still very much in the game. However, with John McGinn driving Hibs forward from the central midfield area, they are very much the team looking to get the next goal. We are 34 minutes in. It's still Hibs 1, Queen of the South 0.
Okay, Des McKeown.
Aberdeen have scored, Peter.
And Aberdeen have managed to get a goal. Tam Scobie with the OG there in that match. Who cares, says Derek McInnes, as long as the ball hits the back of the net, back on level terms. We're talking about Aberdeen, and I suppose we always like to in the media, we're all guilty of it. We want to see a battle in so many different positions. Is there a battle to be had for second place, or is it done and dusted in your mind?
Done and dusted. And I was never really enthused by it anyway. I was never sitting in my chair about it. I mean, the difference between second and third is a wee bit of more money, more television money, I would imagine, but nothing else. I mean, they both qualify for Europe, second and third. I think the real interesting one for Aberdeen and Aberdeen fans is next Saturday. I think the Scottish Cup has long been an underachiever for Aberdeen. Yeah. I think from the demise of Rangers in 2012, teams have got to the Scottish Cup, made the Scottish Cup their own, like St Johnstone this afternoon. Aberdeen haven't, and I think there's real pressure on Aberdeen next Saturday to beat Hibs and at least get to a Scottish Cup final, and I think that's the big game of the season for them.
Is there pressure on Rangers to actually do something today just to make it seem interesting, Gordon, more than anything else? Aberdeen are 2-0 up.
Yeah, I think there is. I think that they narrowed the gap last week. It was 12 points. I thought there's no way Rangers can get a second spot or challenge, but then they get that result. It gets it to 9 points. You're thinking this is crucial today because Rangers have the home game, Aberdeen away. I did tip Aberdeen to win the game today because I did feel that St Johnstone actually are a better team away from home. They're more of a threat away from home, funnily enough. I don't know what it is about them, but they seem to do better. So this is the big game today. But Rangers, the other point about it, Peter, as well, is that Rangers will want a result because their game next Sunday is against Celtic. So they'll want to go from having beaten Aberdeen to having won another game before they play Celtic next Sunday, just in order to keep their spirits up and know that they have an opportunity to get into the Celtic game and think they can achieve something.
Well, I mean, the best of the action from Ibrox was still waiting on that first goal. Czerny's pulled off a great save from a powerful header from Danny Wilson, but still no breakthrough, Hugh. The other thing that I'm curious to see how the Rangers side changes from the Mark Warburton days to Pedro Caixinha and what he's going to do with the influence of his own number 2 and of course the addition of Jonathan Johansson as well. Will we see a dramatically different style in the new season? That's a big question.
I think the style will be fairly similar in that both, he'll share with Warburton the possession is 9/10 of the law, that he'll share that everything's got to be done at speed. The thing that's interesting with Caixinha, I think, is that, quite frankly, that Rangers team are only capable of limited improvement, I think, because of the quality of the people that Mark Warburton brought in. And but I think we've got news from Easter Road, Peter.
Yeah, Des McKeown is there for us. There's another goal.
You can hear in the background, Peter, it is now Hibs 2, Queen of the South 0, and it's goal machine Darren McGregor again. It's a corner from Jason Cummins on the left hand side, out swinging, missed by Everybody. McGregor rushing in on the 6-yard line, bundles it into the net. It's now Hibs 2, Queen of the South 0.
So, Gordon Smith, you called it 100% correct on your return to the programme, which is why we brought you back.
That's it. I know what I'm talking about. No, but I just think, for me, Hibs, obviously, this is a big game for them today. That's why I felt that because there'd been motivation to think that a league championship could be won at home, that's why it's a big. And I think we've got a goal at Ibrox as well, Peter.
And the pressure's paid off, Robbie, because Kenny Miller, one of those players that, I think he will be in the running for Player of the Year as a nomination, or a nominee, I beg your pardon. But he scored the goal. They finally got the breakthrough. They had most of the play, as you would expect, and it's now Rangers 1, Partick Thistle 0.
Yeah, you would have expected them to kick on today at home, obviously getting that result last week at Aberdeen, and that's what he's done. And I mean, I know we're all talking about will he get another year, and as Hugh said, he's got to be given another year, unless he's on some ridiculous wages that they want to cut wages back. I think that's the only way that he'll leave, if they ask him to take a cut in wages.
Yeah, wide on the right there. Lovely ball from Tavernier, and Kenny Miller coming in. He's heading it down into the grass. Makes it difficult for the keeper, Cherny, to make the save. Bounces into the roof of the net.
And vital goals over the last couple of weeks. I mean, straight last week was superb.
That's a good point you make, Hugh, actually. It's not, of the 12 goals he scored, they are crucial goals.
Yeah, and as I say, I fully expect him to be at Ibrox next year. I think long term as well. Not only has he scored crucial goals, but I think he's very good in the dressing room, and I think long term as well. He may have in his own heart, in his own head, he'll have ideas about coaching, and he'll have ideas about going forward. And I know he's a good mentor in the Rangers dressing room. So I think it.
He's an experienced player to have in there. You were talking earlier on, Peter, about the difference between Coutinho as a difference from Warburton, and I did see it last Sunday in one respect. That when they were breaking forward, Rangers, they had more support for the front than they had under Matt Warburton. There was so many times I watched Rangers playing when it was a case of the ball got up to the edge of the box with possession, and you're thinking, who's in there? Who can you play the ball to? But what I've suddenly found last week was that when a player was bursting forward, he had support alongside him. Wycorn was supported by Garner and Miller and whoever, and I felt that was a difference in terms of just a bit more energy in terms of attacking side and a bit more directness, because Warburton did at times like to keep possession
for possession's sake,
and a lot of times it allowed the opposition to get goal side, didn't it? So I think there was a change.
I'll be interested to see how he, what he addresses first and foremost. I mean, we have to see what his budget is, but what you'll think is the priority areas in the team. I think if the two loan signings go down back down south, which is almost certain, you just look at yourself and say that's a pretty bare squad. It's not a squad of players that are, a lot of guys where you see that are, not really coming through. Yeah. There's improvement, I think, in a few. I mean, I think Barry McKyle improved. I think Hodgson at fullback, and I think that he's a work in progress. But there's
midfield's different area. Midfield is different.
There's also players there that aren't getting a game, that aren't going to get a game.
Yeah.
So you've got 3 or 4 of them as well, obviously. Forrester, Halliday, who he doesn't think they're first team players now. They're not going to be first team players next year. So that might be a big empty as well.
Yeah, Christine Bartley has said second place is not done and dusted, and I'm sure many a Rangers fan would agree with you on that, Christine. They're battling away, they've got the goal. Kenny Miller has scored it once again, so Rangers leading at the moment. You can see the constant update on the scores on your screen, and throughout the afternoon we'll bring you the reaction from the key games. Kevin Harper is out at Fir Park. We'll get his first half analysis of a match in which Motherwell are leading at the moment. Slender lead now, 2-1 against Inverness Cali Thistle after taking a 2-goal lead through Chris Cadden, and the second goal scored by Louis Moult, who returned to the side. So 2-1 there, Rangers leading by 1-0. Of course, one of the matches that finished yesterday was Kilmarnock 0, Hearts 0. We'll keep you up to date with St Johnstone against Aberdeen. Aberdeen leading by 2-0 there as well. And I think that's the element of this division. Are you a big fan of the way it is all carved up? I'm always a fan, Gordon, of 16 in the league. I just think there are too many clubs in the Championship that should be in our top division. I still think you can carve it up in a split to get everybody playing each other 4 times.
Yeah, absolutely. But what's happened is it's just all down to financial aspect. The only reason that the split had to come in was because it went to 12 teams. That was an agreement that was made. So the Premier League went to 12. I don't think they're ever going to make it to 16 or 18 because the money gets divided by fewer teams. Now, what happened with the split was that it meant they had to have that split because you could not have teams playing 4 times against each other with a 12-team league. But the one benefit of it actually is it gives you something to play for quite some part of the season. And as I say, the other side of it that's good, and it's been added to by the fact that we've now got the playoff scenario as well, that you've got the 6 teams at the bottom, should I say, sorry, are playing each other in the final 5 games, which actually does bring a degree of excitement to it, because then you've got an opportunity. It's not as if we've got to play Celtic and Rangers. No, we're playing the teams who we have a chance of catching, who we could actually, take points off. So I think that's the only benefit of it. But I do agree with you that we seem to have teams playing now in the Championship who would definitely benefit the top league. You're looking at the probably even 4 of the teams that are now, like Hibs, Falkirk, Dundee United, Morton, would all probably be better if they were at a higher level. Yeah,
there's no doubt it's exciting, Ruffy, because we can look forward to playoffs at the end of the season, which are exciting. It's nail-biting. It's not great for some of the clubs and their fans who are involved in it, but it's exciting. It keeps everybody's interest going all the way to the end.
Yeah, as I say, it's a format where a lot of people didn't like it at the beginning, but as the years have went on, the games have become more exciting. And that adds to it. I think the only thing is that we can't do anything about is the 3, whether you get 3 home games or 2 away games. That is the one that would be a bugbearer if you were listless. As I said, Inverness earlier, they've in the split they've got 3 away games and 1 home game. Now that doesn't look particularly fair when you see other teams.
Well, Motherwell, who are just above them, have got 3 home games and 2 away, so they have an advantage. I know what you mean. But it's interesting because it's actually fun enough. They're playing today. It's 2-1 at the moment, and that's the final game. That's the final game of the season. Is actually Inverness versus Motherwell
again.
Yep, absolutely. Okay, getting close to half-time across the country. I think we can go to Easter Road. Half-time there in the Championship. Hibs against Queen of the South. Des McKeown.
Half-time at Easter Road, Peter, and it is Hibs 2, Queen of the South 0, 45 minutes away from potentially wrapping up the Championship title. Neil Lennon's side have gone in at the break 2 ahead, and both goals came from set pieces. Both goals came from Darren McGregor. In 12 minutes, John McGinn flighted a deep free kick right side to left. Darren McGregor guided a header over Lee Robinson, dropping in at the far post. Just 7 minutes before half-time, it was a 2-0 to the home side. This time it was Jason Cummins in swinging corner kick from the left-hand side. Evades everyone. Darren McGregor rushing in, volleys past Lee Robinson in the home goal. Martin Boyles went close. Andy Shinnies went close for Neil Lennon's side. The only chance for Queen of the South in the first half came from Stephen Dobie, and that was a fantastic save from Offer Marciano to deny him. But as we stand 45 minutes into the game, it's half time and it's Hibs 2, Queen of the South 0.
Thanks to Des, and of course elsewhere the Hibs fans have been looking at what's happening between Falkirk and St Mirren, which is the key game for their title celebrations.
Yeah, very much so. I think they'll be fairly confident in their own team now with 2 goals up at home and see them going. Falkirk v St Mirren still a game, but I think we're getting though. It's just a matter of time.
Yeah. Okay. Let's go to Fir Park. Kevin Harper is there. Motherwell Inverness.
What a game here, Peter. It is Motherwell 2, Inverness 1, but it could be 5-5. It's that open a game. It's just consistent waves of attack. You have the ball, we have attack, but the goals came from in 6 minutes. The first goal was Chris Cadden, cuts in from the left-hand side. Opens the defence and bends it into the bottom right-hand corner to make it 1-0 to Motherwell. 2 minutes later, Motherwell were 2 ahead. Blue Smoke crosses from the right-hand side. There's a mix-up between Vaughan Williams and McCart, and the ball ends in the back of the net. Inverness hit back after 25 minutes. Polworth's shots get this deflects into the corner from Fisher. But after that, it's all been Inverness, and I think Richie Foran will be disappointed going in 2-1.
Okay,
Here it's
so
Motherwell 2, Inverness 1.
So it could be 5-5. That's the kind of game we like. And let me tell you right now, if it ends 5-5, Kevin Harper will be having a hairy fit, I can tell you, because he's going to have to try and get 10 goals in. Join us after the break for the half-time scores. And in the English Premier League as well. Let's look at the Premiership. First of all, 4 games being played today. Dundee 0, Hamilton 1, Motherwell 2, Inverness Cali Thistle 1, Rangers 1, Partick Thistle 0, and St Johnstone 0, Aberdeen 2. Into the Championship, Dumbarton 0, Dunfermline 0, Falkirk 1, St Mirren 1, Hibernian 2, Queen of the South 0, and Wraith Rovers 1, Morton 0. Ayr against Dundee United kicks off at 5:15 tonight. Into League 1, Alloa 2, Brecon City 1, East Fife 1, Peterhead 1, Queen's Park 1, Albion Rovers 0, Stenhousemuir 0, Livingston 0, and Stranraer 1, Airdrieonians 0. In League 2, Annan Athletic 0, Berwick Rangers 0, Arbroath 0, Edinburgh City 0, Clyde 0, Elgin City 2, Montrose 1, Forfar 0, and Stirling Albion 0, Cowdenbeath 2. In the Premier League in England, one full-time score is Tottenham 4, Bournemouth 0, Crystal Palace 0, Leicester City 1, Everton 0, Burnley 0, Stoke City 1, Hull City 0, Sunderland 1, West Ham 1, and Watford 1, Swansea 0. And Southampton against Manchester City is the 5:30 kick-off. So there you have it. We'll get a quick word from Des McKeown and Kevin Harper before the second half gets underway in the Premiership match and the Championship game. But Gordon Smith, Kenny Miller scores the goal. Rangers have had most of the pressure, as you would expect, but they've got a slender advantage, but a crucial one, 1-0.
Yeah, I mean, it's as I say, I knew it'd be a difficult game. I mean, they're playing against a team who basically they've had a great week. They're the form team. The only problem I felt, and I spoke about earlier on with Thistle, would be the fact that sometimes when you reach your goal, you tend to slip off a little bit. It's not a conscious thing, it's a subconscious thing. Partick Thistle achieved top 6 status, and therefore you think, have they done their bit for the season? So I was wondering whether they could lift it again today. But as I say, I saw enough in Rangers last Sunday to think that there is a bit of an improvement there under the new manager, a bit more dynamic, and they have a vital lead. So it'll be interesting to see if they can hold on to that.
Well, how important is it that they hold on to it, build on it as well for confidence? Because there's the semi-final coming up next weekend, and then on the back of that, with the split, it's yet again another game against Celtic.
Yep, two games coming up. I think it's all about. I mean, I've already sort of made my scepticism known about the second and third battle, but I think next week is two season-defining games for Rangers and Aberdeen. I think it's that important next week. The seasons will be defined not by finishing second or third, but with what happens next Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think Aberdeen need to prove that they can come down to Glasgow into a semi-final and the players stand up and be counted. And certainly bouncing back with that score today would indicate that they are. Last week was just one they're just going to forget about and concentrate in the semi-final.
Okay, coming up after the break, we'll get a quick word from Easter Road and Fir Park as well before the second half kicks off, and then we've got another 45 minutes to look forward to action, reaction as well to any goals that are scored. Welcome back to Peter and Ruffy's Saturday Football Show. You join us at a very crucial time in the programme when Ruffy has his iPad going off. Somebody is phoning him, which basically, rule number one of the programme, Ruffy, is never actually do your social life on the programme, which clearly you never ever pay any heed to.
Unfortunately, it is a football game that I'm getting the commentary of. It must be the Junior Cup, because that's what it sounds like.
Yeah, well, the Junior Cup is Linlithgow 0, Auchinleck 0, and Glenafton 1, Borryrigg Rose 0, and Glenafton have missed a penalty. And the implications of Glenafton winning the Junior Cup means that Ruffy's legacy is gone, Hugh McDonald.
And the other thing about it as well is his Hall of Fame will be relayed. That's probably what was happening there. That was a phone call from Glenafton that he was struggling with. They just said, don't bother coming along in the summer. We'll get you later.
Yeah, I'm going to nip over to Fir Park just as the game is about to kick off, because Kevin Harper is there. Kevin, are there any changes to the teams? Because Motherwell have a slender lead. Has Richie Foran decided to stick with the men that finished the first half?
He stuck with the same team, Peter, and rightly so. They've been a better side. I know they're still 2-1 down. Sorry, but he must be scratching his head how they're 2-1 down, because they've been a better team.
Well, as you can imagine, sometimes the better side doesn't always get the result in the end. It'll be interesting to see if they just throw everything, the kitchen sink, the lot at Motherwell in the second half, because this, for me, is do or die, Gordon.
Absolutely, Peter. That's why I felt for quite some time Inverness it's relegation form, because relegation form generally is when you're the better side and you're not winning.
Yeah.
And that's happened quite a few times. It's not a case that they've been outplayed so often. But I see West Ham have actually gone in front again at Sunderland. Another early goal. They scored an early first half goal, and that's an early second half one now too.
Yep, absolutely. Let's go to Easter Road, 2-0 there. And I think most of the Hibs fan, Des McKeown, will start to be, well, they're starting to think about Sunshine and Leith being played at the end, photographs, strips being thrown into the crowd, party time, phoning the Italian restaurants and thinking, let's have a party, let's all go out and celebrate Hibs winning the title.
I think most of the people down in front of me in the comfy seats are already out partying, Peter, because they're not come back for the start of the second half yet. They're about a minute underway, and I have to say that yes, I fully expect that by 90 minutes, by full time, if depending on results elsewhere, of course, I can't see Hibs not winning all 3 points here today. And the ground will be ready to party. I can assure you that the atmosphere outside the ground before the game was very positive, and inside, as Jason Cummins, fantastic save from Lee Robinson, follow up by McGear just wide. But as the crowd around me now start to filter back in just down in front of us, there is a little ripple of excitement around Easter Road today, and quite rightly so. They've waited to get back up into the top flight. If it isn't today, it will be next week, I'm pretty sure. Neil Lennon and his players, if they do deliver the title today, I believe may do a lap of honour after the full time whistle. So we'll keep you updated on that, and obviously depending on results elsewhere will have a big impact on that.
Yeah,
Still
okay.
2-0 Hibs.
Thanks to Desi, and I agree with Des. I just don't get it. The Prawn Sandwich Brigade, the people who wait and miss out on something, and we're not going to miss out on something. Let's get back to Des. Des, has something happened there?
Yes, it's another goal for Hibs. It was a deep Jason Cummins corner, back post, captain David Gray, bullet header, 3-0 Hibernian Football Club. All 3 points are staying in Leith. Will the league championship be delivered today? We'll wait and see. 3-0 Hibs.
Well, there you are. That's exactly it. I mean, there's guys that have missed that goal as well, Ruffy. That's what annoys me about it all.
Well, the thing was, people were saying on what players need tips to get. I think you need to get some forwards. It's all defenders that are getting all the goals there.
Well, it's funny you saying that, because I actually do believe they need to get goal scorers.
Yeah.
They need goal scorers, because the amount of games that they've drawn tells you they've got to be able to kill off the opposition.
Exactly, Peter. 6 out of the last 8 games have been draws, as you said, 1 defeat, 1 win. But the thing is that's like 3 goals today and a comfortable one. They're now waiting to see what happens with Falkirk. If Falkirk don't win the game, Hibs are champions. But the thing is, that's two from McGregor centre half, and now 1 from Gray.
Yeah, incredible. In the Premier League in England, as you were mentioning there, talking of defenders, it was James Collins who scored for West Ham, another defender there. And that's only 2 minutes into the second half of that match. Sunderland, time is running out for them. And in contrast, amazingly, I think Everton may well have gone ahead in that game against Burnley as well.
A defender, Phil Jagielka, scored another centre-half. So
that must be his third or fourth goal in the last few games. He's been scoring each game, hasn't he?
That's right. He came back from a long-term injury, and they're glad to have him back. I mean, they've got real age and experience in central defence now at Everton.
You just wonder whether Gareth Southgate will look at him for a possible England recall.
Well, the thing is, I do believe, I must be honest with you, I think he's better than the other England centre-halves, even Stones, people that he's been playing. I think Jagielka is the top England player, but as Hugh says, it's just a case of he's fit enough for me. He's not a youngster anymore, but for me, I do believe he's the top. If I had to choose an England line-up right now of the top players, Jagielka would be in it.
I'll tell you one thing, Rafi, I'm just looking at the way the top six split and the bottom six split. The next match that's played is on Friday the 28th, when the split really kicks in. It will be Ross County against Inverness. I mean, if Inverness do not get an equaliser or possibly a winner today, that could be one of those major matches where, you know, Inverness are starting to stare at the trap door which is opening.
I think there's a time when you look at the split and you look at the points and you say, like, that can't be catchable. I think if you get to the split and you are in desperation stages, I think 5 points is the most you can catch up. You know, if you go into the split with 5 points behind everybody, the managers, the players are going to be saying to themselves, right, we're one game away from getting it to 2, and then who knows what might happen in the last game. But if it was going to 7 and 8 and 9, I think that'd be asking too much. So I think Inverness need to keep it at 4 or 5 to hold any chance at all.
Well, that's why Peter was saying earlier on, this is a crucial game today. I mean, they're not out of it yet. I mean, they've come back, they were down 2-0, looked like they were finished. To be fair, they got a goal, and they've obviously, you know, listened to Kevin's report, had a big lift from that, so they need to get something from this game today.
And I think they'll know it as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I can tell you, Spurs defeated Bournemouth by 4-0 in the early kick-off in the Premier League. I was just looking at the league table. There's only 4 points between them. There's an equaliser for Burnley, incidentally. Sam Vokes has scored there. It's Everton 1, Burnley 1. A penalty, Sam Vokes scoring the goal there. I was just looking, only 4 points of difference now, Ruffy, between Spurs and Chelsea. Chelsea at Old Trafford tomorrow. It really would be interesting. I mean, I don't think anyone has actually thought or started to seriously look at Spurs just nipping in there against Chelsea.
I think it's just all about holding your nerve. You know, we've seen bigger teams and better teams than them throwing away leads, you know, and it just depends on the kind of player that you've got in the side. And we all know that, I think that Man United have got something to offer in this league. I still think they've got players that are good enough that can push into that top 4 position. They're not that far away, so that's what they'll be aiming at when they play Chelsea.
Okay, St Johnstone have a penalty up at McDermott Park against Aberdeen, and it's Danny Swanson who scored the goal. That is magnificent, and I'm just looking to see the players that are running over to him to see if anybody's going to volley him right onto the touchline. The strangest season ever. I mean, when you think about the PFA Awards, Ruffy, there's no shortage of material this season. It's going to be absolutely sensational to reflect on some of the incidents that have taken place.
Yeah, there's been tons this year, and as you know, you sit down and you take a wee hour to try and pick out the best ones, and certainly, and the thing about it is the players know what's happened during the season as well, so they know that they're going to get it when they come up.
But the classic thing is, a mate of mine he'd been at 5 games in a 10-day period, and he said the least newsworthy fact out of the 5 games was Andrew Constantine scoring a hat-trick. That was the least newsworthy thing, because he'd been at the Motherwell.
Rangers have got a second goal. Yep. John Terrell has scored. A man who might not be in the Rangers colours next season scores the goal. Gordon Smith 2-0 up against Partick Thistle.
Yeah, I mean, as I said, we've talked about it already. Rangers, I feel, have improved in recent games, and they must have got a big lift from Aberdeen game, and they've gone into today's game, a crucial one against a team who are in form. Partick are on a great run just now, so that is a crucial goal to get 2-0 up, because they'll want to get a bit of, as I say, a psychological lift going into the Celtic game.
Equaliser, Ruffy, Motherwell 2, Inverness, Caley, Thistle 2. Suddenly, it is game on. Suddenly, it's the Motherwell fans biting their nails.
Yeah, I think they've been biting their nails for the last 2 or 3 weeks with the defence that they've had. Their defence has been really, really poor, and to be winning 2-0 and then losing 2, I think they'll be a very nervous Motherwell till the end of the thing. But that gives Inverness hope.
That's what I'm saying, but the other thing, you're absolutely right. It's a nervous side from Motherwell's point of view. But Inverness will have a big lift from that. If as Kevin was talking about earlier on, they played so well in the first half. They were unfortunate. They were the better team. Fisher scored for them, and you think to yourself, if they now get back to 2 each, I think they'll be the team that will have momentum in this game, Peter.
Well, never mind momentum. They were all over Motherwell in the first half, which Kevin Harper really enjoys, and Alex Fisher scored his second.
Yeah, incredible. Another really big goal, Peter, is Stenhousemuir 0, the champions Livingston 1. Why am I mentioning that?
Liam Buchanan, a man you actually put together a lovely piece today in the Daily Mail about him.
Well, the reason I'm saying that is because when I went to interview him, he said, I hope you can take the curse that has been blighting me now. My goal-scoring run has finished since I appeared on the Peter and Ruffy show. And I said, I anoint you. Go forth and score goals. Right. So he went away that day and he scored 2.
And he scored
today in celebration of my piece being in. So
that's good. It's good. I was also checking Jagielka, Peter. That is 3 goals in 3 games.
I know, it's 7.5.
But the interesting one that Palace, Palace beat Chelsea recently, and then the next game they lost to Southampton. They then beat Arsenal during the week, and they're down 2-1 at home. And Sam Allardyce has spoken about that, saying, I've got to get this team. There's no point in lifting themselves for the big teams, and then you go and play teams games that you expected to win, and now they're down 2-1 to Leicester.
Yeah, and the goal Johan Cabaye gets one back for them. He scored a wonderful goal last week.
Beautiful.
Great goal.
But I have to say, I don't think Crystal Palace will be involved in the relegation.
Well,
I don't think they're going down, put it that way.
I don't think so either, Peter. I think probably the 3 teams that are at the bottom of the league now will go down. I think Sunderland and Middlesbrough are just about there, and I think Swansea, after Paul Clement did well when he came in, I think this point for Hull today, if they continue with that result, is a very important one.
Here's a goal for you. Some would say controversial, but Clyde have got a goal back against Elgin. It's Clyde 1, Elgin City 2. David Goodwillie has scored the goal, Ruffy.
Yeah, the controversy when we signed, everybody's got their views on the whole scenario, what was going on. Clyde have taken the view that everybody's due a second chance, and obviously some supporters have went with it, some haven't, but the boy's just got to go on with his life now, and scoring goals. But it just shows you how far he's dropped in the last 3 or 4 years for where he was.
Scotland internationalist.
It's just incredible. He's just been on free fall for a few years.
Regardless, even Goodwillie, it's a big game for Clyde today, because they're losing 2-1 at home. Obviously, get a goal back now, which is a big boost to them. Cowdenbeath are winning at Stirling, which is a bit of a surprise, because Stirling have been in a very decent run.
Well, Dave Mackay won Manager of the Month.
That's right. So Cowdenbeath are winning 2-0 there, and if actually Cowdenbeath win and Clyde lose, they go level in points at the bottom on 33 points. And that's puts Clyde under a fair bit of pressure down there, doesn't it?
Yes, it does indeed. This is a day actually when I thought I would mention a number of news stories that have caught my eye. One again that is always sad on a day like today. 28 years, Hillsborough in 1996. I think the 96. I beg your pardon. That lost their lives at Hillsborough. Sheffield remembers, and so do the people in the city of Liverpool when 96 fans went to watch a game of football and didn't come back, lost their lives. It's been such a long battle for the families, but thankfully every year Liverpool and Sheffield as cities remember the people who lost their lives, Hugh McDonald.
Yeah, and more as the years pass, gradually the truth is seeping out from those lead line boxes that police and government had nailed down, so that all the blame, or much of the blame, had been put on the victims, which is a heinous, despicable thing to do.
Yeah.
And there was a documentary probably all watched about 6 months ago, which was really very moving, because it talked about the family's struggle just to come to the truth. Families getting asked in the most grievous and horrible moments of their life, if their relative drank a lot, or was they aware if they were drunk. I mean, just horrible, horrible stuff, Peter. I think what's happened with the truth coming out is fantastic. I think this thing should not be let go. I think people who on that day and afterwards have made terrible statements and cover-ups should be pursued to the full strength of the law. And in a wee sidebar, I noticed Kenny Dalglish tweeting about it today, and I think we've all fallen in and out with Kenny over the years, but his behaviour as Liverpool manager during that time was absolutely amazing, absolutely amazing.
He felt that there was also an emotional side for Kenny too. Without doubt, you could tell of that. And I agree with everything you've said, Hugh. It was a very moving. I saw that programme, and if I had been a relative, and I think they were disgracefully treated, weren't they?
Absolutely, treated terribly.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. St Mirren have gone in front, by the way, Peter. St Mirren have gone back in front.
And again, that will cause a reaction at Easter Road, Ruffy, because of St Mirren. Win there today, then Hibs are champions.
Yeah, that'll be a fantastic day of celebration. That'll be amazing, for where they were and where they are now. I think it was 2 years ago with all the protests and fans uniting together against the board, and it all seems to have come together now, and they're getting the benefits of it.
What about Wraith Rovers 2, Morton 0? Ross Matthews, Ruffy. Wraith Rovers suddenly, even with St Mirren winning, Wraith Rovers suddenly, as you mentioned at the start of the programme, to your credit, these teams at the bottom, they're going to have to, do something out of the ordinary. Yeah, you're right, and that's why they brought John Hughes in there, to get something out of the players. And that result today, obviously we've been saying it for the last 2 or 3 weeks, players will be coming into the dressing rooms, although they'll know their score, the first thing they'll be asking is what are the other scores. And the way it stands just now, obviously St Mirren have got that second goal, but if St Mirren were to go in at 1 each at the end of the day and find out Wraith Rovers have won, and Dumbarton have got another point, and Ayr might.
Well, so the problem is, you're absolutely right, Ruffy. The thing about it is that puts Ayr in a nervous position going into their match tonight. If Wraith win this game, which they look as if they will do now, and St Mirren were to win, Peter, you've Ayr United are having to play Dundee United, and the gulf would be about 5 points, I think, if these results stayed the same. So that puts Ayr under a bit of pressure for their home game. What a finish there from Stephen McGinn for St Mirren, just curling that ball into the top corner from 20 yards. And Stephen Mallon said, he has lifted that club in the middle of the park. He's a player that maybe should be playing at a higher level, but his association with St Mirren is such that they've been lucky enough to get him back. Yeah, you can look at players and you see this is not where they deserve to be. You can just see with the touch, what they've got, and he's not a championship player, like his brother at Hibernian, who's not a championship player. The players of a higher calibre, and Stephen Mallon is too, I believe. That St Mirren now are. Even with the other results not quite going St Mirren's way, and that Wraith are winning and Dumbarton are drawing, you just get more and more the sense of inexorable sort of momentum in St Mirren's favour. Yeah, we were talking there about Hillsborough just before the goal started flying in. Interestingly enough, I think it was Celtic who played the first match against Liverpool after the tragic events, just to how the players managed to actually get back and play a game of football, is beyond me, Ruffy. But that was the first game, Celtic against Liverpool at Celtic Park. Yeah, Hugh touched on it briefly, the documentary, and it was harrowing scenes. There was nothing taken out of it. The supporters are up against the wire fencing and people just trying to help out, and it was just for the families. To go through all that year on year, must have been absolutely incredible. Yeah, I've spoken to Kenny Dalglish on a number of occasions, and we've had him on the programme, Ruffy. And you're right, Hughie, he acted with tremendous dignity throughout, and
I don't think it's too far a stretch to suggest that with all that pressure, that's possibly why he decided in '89 I've had enough, and stepped down and shocked everyone in the city of Liverpool by stepping down as Liverpool manager Gordon Smith.
Big goal at Fir Park. Motherwell have gone in front.
So Motherwell 3-2 in front. You see what we were talking about?
5-5.
You might actually. And it looks as if there's a bit of uncertainty about this one. Someone said, it hit the post, and then all of a sudden it looked as if it had gone over the line. The goal's been given. So Motherwell 3-2 in front. Sometimes little strokes of luck, Ruffy, can go in your favour, and the Motherwell fans don't care about it. It's a goal, 3-2.
Yeah, we'll have to see that one, to make up our own minds with it hitting the post and it going over the line. I mean, it's a hard one to sort of
Well, Scott McDonald looks as if he's the man to have scored the goal. Scott McDonald, when he looks back in his career, Hugh, I think he'll always be associated with a day the helicopter changed direction.
Yeah, he scored one or two very cataclysmic goals for Motherwell before, but from a Motherwell point of view, this will be the most important because we both know Motherwell fans and we know how excited they were.
Look at that, Hugh. It's Freer who's crossed it. McDonald has headed the ball off the post, and the referee has just looked at the linesman. The linesman has then said, no, Fawn Williams was clawing it from behind the line. He's given the goal. That's 3-2 to Motherwell.
Well, this is the whole thing. You know that can't happen in the Premiership in England because the referee's watch would have went off. His referee's watch would go off, and Richie Thorne and others might be calling about that today, but it costs in excess of £250,000 for every ground, which is like for Motherwell would be at least 5 players' wages, I would imagine. So that's not going to happen anytime soon.
But that's a big goal, considering the fact that obviously Inverness have got them back in from 2-0 down. Fought back, seemed by all accounts from Kevin's report that they were controlling the game, and you think what a boost they must have got from being 2 each. Are they going to go and get a winner now? And now they suddenly find themselves 3-2 down.
Because even an equaliser, I think Gordon is not really good for Inverness.
No,
I mean they'll take it. But
a draw, you have to accept a draw. It's still got a bit to do, obviously. You're right, Hugh.
Yep, absolutely. OK, I can tell you Kyle Turner has scored for Stranraer. 2-0 up on Airdrieonians in League One. So we're keeping you right up to date with all the goals across the country. Rangers are going to get all 3 points. I think, Ruffy, they're in control against your old side, Partick Thistle.
Yeah, it looks like that's the way, when you get that second goal, I think at Ibrox, you wouldn't think Rangers are going to throw anything away. They'll be going for the third one. They'll be going for a confident booster for next week. And that's what the rest of the game will be all about.
I think both games against Partick have actually been 2-0 this season, both away and at home. The Rangers have won both already.
I can't wait to see Kevin Harper try to sum this game up, because 5 goals, he's mentioned it could be 5 all from the first half alone, Hugh McDonald at Fir Park.
In Fir Park for thrills, as they don't say, but I think we've been at Peter games where it's ended up 6 each year, so I was waiting for Lukas Jutkovic to come on as a substitute for Motherwell, but that's a big goal for Motherwell. It really is.
Yeah,
another big goal. David Goodwillie has got his hat-trick. You mentioned him earlier on. 2-0 down, Clyde, where a crucial game, and they've all of a sudden got back. They're 3-2 up, and Goodwillie's got the 3 of them.
Yep, Stoke City 2, Hull 1. Peter Crouch still scoring goals. It's his first goal in 8 games, but he's just one of those guys that it looked as if he was written off by many in Stoke colours, but he's come back, he gets goals, he poses a threat, certainly from set pieces with his head, but I think his touch on the ground for such a tall man is superb.
Look at his most famous goal, the one where he takes the touch, knocks it up and then volleys it in from the edge of the area. The famous goal of the season, I think, from a couple of seasons, but I think he's a smashing player. I look at it, I mean, it's the quality England have got that we don't, but if you imagine he was Scottish, do you think he would be playing up top for Scotland every game? I think so.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Hugh. I'm trying to get myself up for the big Scotland-England match, but you've put a dampener on it there. One other match I thought I'd tell you about was the Milan derby today. It was 2-2 it finished. Absolutely amazing finish to it as well. And this is, of course, an AC Milan that have been sold to a Chinese consortium, Hugh.
Huge story that. Incidentally, the equaliser, they came from a watch goal. It was a set piece, I think, a corner. The guy hit it in off the bar, and you know, there's a big scramble, and the referee points to it's 4-2 for Motherwell now. So if you're talking about big goals, that's a season ender.
Campbell scored the goal. Listen, Ruffy, huge relief around Fir Park, but if you're a manager like Richie Foran, you're now looking and seeing that goal again, the ball coming in, launched in, right at the back post, nobody's picking up, Campbell's there, nods it into the back of the net, sends Fir Park wild.
Yeah, well, as we know, that both teams' defences have been poor, really poor, and it just shows you the scoreline, why they're poor, because both of them can't defend properly. But certainly, if you're a Motherwell supporter, you'll be absolutely loving every minute of it.
Gordon, what about Christian Benteke? Pops up, scores the goal for Crystal Palace, 2-2 against the champions Leicester.
He's a key player for them, there's no doubt about it. He was excellent during the week. I was saying it was a bit of a shock to the fact they were losing at home 2-0, because having had a wonderful performance against Arsenal when they defended so well, hit on the break, and Benteke was a top player, and he was the one that caused Arsenal all the problems.
It's strange because it's a knee-jerk reactions to things, and you know, I remember when he signed for Palace, and you know, for 30 million or whatever, and people say, "Oh, the game's gone mad." Benteke to Crystal Palace for 30 million. And I said at the time, if he scores 15 goals, right, that's £2 million a goal, and keeps Palace up, it's the best 30 million Palace will ever, because
value for money,
because they're going to get over 100 million alone from television money every year, without tying in things like merchandising, you know, money through the gate. So he's proved I'm really inspired by.
I'll tell you who's been inspiring for Motherwell today. Alan Campbell. What a time to score your first goal for Motherwell. He's a youngster in the side, pops up with that goal at the back post, Ruffy.
Yeah, sometimes you've got to take a chance in youngsters, even when you're struggling. You know, they bring no nerves associated. They just want to go in and impress. And certainly they've got the benefit of him.
Well, it's an interesting story. Sorry to interrupt, Peter, but just the fact that, you know, they got an early lead 2-0, Inverness come back into it, storm away, by all accounts, totally on top, the better team, getting chances, and then suddenly find themselves now 4-2 down. What happened in this game? I'd like Kevin's report will be interesting to see how did this turn around? How all of a sudden did Motherwell get back into it and get 2 goals?
Well, I think we're going to have to take bets now on whether Kevin's report will last for 5 minutes or 8 minutes if he's trying to get it all in. The one thing I would say is it's hard to believe sometimes when youngsters come on the park and score goals. Alan Campbell, born on the 4th of July, 1998.
1998.
Doesn't that make you feel old, Hugh McDonald? 1998.
Oh my goodness, 1998. God, I mean, of course, it'll not be long, God willing, where we'll be sitting here and talking about the Millennium scorers, you know.
Well, Alan Campbell was born, and then all through his time as a footballer and going through primary and secondary school, he thought Scotland never ever qualified for major tournament trophy. And Everton are 2-1 up on Burnley, and Ross Barkley has scored the goal, and I would imagine the cheers inside Goodison Park will be long and loud for Ross Barkley, because it's been a traumatic week for him, and it's still ongoing with some of the abuse that he's had to suffer as a footballer this week. And I think everyone in the football show, our thoughts and backing are with him. So that's a great goal. I'm delighted he scored today.
For him, because apart from the you know, the vile and heinous and criticism from a Sun columnist, he's had a difficult time of late, because there's been questions of him. He's an actual crucial part of his career, but he's not signing a contract for Everton, and Everton are saying to him, well, if you don't sign, we're going to get rid of you, we're going to sell you. And he's one of those players who seems to have everything, but hasn't just made that almost Dele Alli type breakthrough into being, you know, real top class. So it's a very interesting time for him. I was reading a piece from Graham Souness the other week there, and he was very critical of his game sense, of his, you know, how he played the game, saying that he had great technical ability, but he didn't seem to know how to manage the game.
Decision making, not good.
And I was interested.
I must be honest, I've always liked watching him.
I think he's got everything. He's very physically strong. He's tall, and he's technically brilliant.
I think the biggest problem, though, that maybe Ross Barkley will have, and I'm not saying there's a comparison, but there is a comparison in a sense that he follows a very special player that they had in Wayne Rooney.
Yeah.
So he was elevated to that position early on, and then people will draw the comparisons, then look and see what type of player he is. I don't think he's. I don't think he's been as consistent that people have been looking for.
No, he hasn't. But he really needs either to buy into the Koeman revolution at Everton, which is quite substantial actually. He's changed Everton around dramatically, I think, or he's got to go and get a new challenge. But he's, as I say, there's certain players of his age who have made leaps and bounds. Dele Alli being the most significant of them. And he really needs to make that leap as well, because everybody thought he would be. It's almost like Jack Wilshere.
Yeah.
Everybody thought Wilshere would be the mainstay of. It's 3-1 now for Everton. So thought Wilshere would be the mainstay for England for years, and he's now. I don't know what's going to happen to him.
He's a Bournemouth on loan,
and I don't know what's going to happen to him.
I mean, remember we were at the Scotland-England game at Parkhead, and Wilshere just ran riot that game.
Yeah.
He was head and shoulders above everybody.
It'll be interesting to see who buys him in the summer, if indeed he stays at Arsenal. There's a number of clubs sniffing around him. Andy Ryan has scored for Adrionians. It's Stranraer 2, Adrionians 1, so the fight back is on in that match. The crucial matches in the Premiership right now. Aberdeen in control against St Johnstone. Rangers will definitely get all 3 points at Ibrox against Partick Thistle. Dundee against Hamilton. That's a match where we really haven't been talking about it in the second half.
It's amazing because it was one of those ones we talked about earlier on, saying Dundee are in really bad form, and we thought, can they win? I thought it maybe be a draw that game, to be honest with you. Hamilton haven't won an away game this season. This would be their first win if Hamilton actually win. But even if they pick up the 3 points or 2, it puts Hamilton in a good position. Although, having said that, Motherwell look like they're picking up 3 points now as well. So the biggest problem at the moment of the teams down that end is definitely Inverness. The fact they're 4-2 behind with about 12 minutes to go, it's going to be a tough shift for them to get back in this game now.
Yep, Romelu Lukaku scoring the goal for Everton, 3-1 up in that match against Burnley. If I was Romelu Lukaku, I would not go back to Chelsea. If you've been there and you're sitting on the bench, you don't want to go through the same scenario again, surely, Roffy?
No, but everybody was looking at him and thinking he was going to be the new Drogba. They thought he had the same physique, the same ability, Who knows? Going back to play with better players, he might be that, but he's certainly done tremendously well with Everton.
Oh, they're getting the best out of him, aren't they? I mean, he is actually top class for them. He's one of the players. When you see Everton playing, he's the threat to most teams, Lukaku.
Yeah, absolutely. He scored the goal, the 3-1 up in the Premier League in England. And as the matches run out, as I look at that split, as the matches run out, suddenly when we get into the top 6 and where they'll be playing, Aberdeen will have a game again against St Johnstone, and Rangers will be at home against Celtic. And in effect, if Aberdeen can maintain this 9-point advantage, suddenly Rangers' fate for the battle for second place could be determined at Ibrox.
Yeah, and I think, if Aberdeen hold out for a victory today and they go in 9 points, ahead at the break, I think they win.
That's right. Remember the girl lady texted in, Christine texted in to say no, Rangers can get the top 6 if they both win today. Peter, I agree with you. If you get 5 games left and Aberdeen have a 9-point lead, and with the goal difference, it's a 10-point lead, isn't it? Really, when you think about it. I can't see. Obviously, Rangers
collapse.
Correct. They need to collapse for Rangers to get back.
Can I just say to you, Atletico Madrid have rested Griezmann, Koke, Sol and Gabi ahead of the trip to Leicester next week. No surprise there. Can you write off Leicester at home against Atletico?
Yeah, I can.
Yeah. So can I just posed the question, and
I'll tell you what. I think. They've done really well in the Champions League. But I thought they were very lucky against Sevilla on both legs. I think big things went against Sevilla on both legs. I mean, lucky's not missing a penalty. That's down to the player himself. If you miss a penalty, but to miss a penalty in both legs,
I wouldn't write them off yet. No. I'll be honest with you, no, I wouldn't, because I just think that they're a team who are capable on their day of lifting their game. And if Atletico Madrid are leaning out all these players on the assumption that we're through now, I think that's a mistake.
Yeah, let's go to Easter Road, because the closer it gets to full time, the louder the fans will become. They'll obviously be in title winning mode now, I think, Des McKeown.
Oh, Falkirk scored.
Oh, what about that, Des? Falkirk have scored.
What's happened?
It's 2-2.
Oh, is that right? Well, nobody knows here yet, but it would have. I can see it just starting to ripple round now. But when St Mirren scored, Peter, there was a big round of applause right round the ground. A few songs getting sang. It's in Hibs' hands now, unless Falkirk produce a third and a winner, then the title celebrations will happen today. It has been. It's a chance again, almost another for Hibernian. Hibernian have absolutely bossed this game. 3 goals, all from set pieces. But I know that John McGinn may be a bootroom guest on the football show sometime soon. Please ask him all about his shot from 10 yards from inside his own half. That was absolutely rank rotten. He will be delighted to talk about it, because he tried a Beckham and it just didn't happen. 10 minutes to go, 3-0 Hibs.
Yeah, John McGinn, if indeed the celebrations start tonight, will be our bootroom guest on Tuesday night. Really looking forward to that. On Wednesday we'll have, I think, a former teammate of yours, Gordon Smith. Ali Dawson is our bootroom guest on Wednesday night.
Yeah, I was a teammate of mine, definitely. Came through, didn't play the first year, he broke through the second year when John Gregg became the manager. John Gregg had been playing sort of left back, and then Ali Dawson got brought through.
Yep, and Bob McHugh was the goal scorer for Falkirk in that match. Just come on as a substitute, puts the ball in the back of the net, and the former Motherwell player draws Falkirk level against St Mirren. Is there a winner for the Bairns? They'll be throwing everything at it, just trying to keep this title race alive, if indeed it is. We're building it up. Dunbarton 0, Dunfermline 1 now. Ruffy, that is a goal that they really didn't want to see at Dumbarton. Rhys McCabe has scored for Dunfermline.
No, you're right. I think Dumbarton thought they could have taken something out of that game. Dunfermline, have been struggling a wee bit recently, but certainly, Dumbarton will fight right until the end. That's the kind of team they are. Until then the final whistle goes, they'll be trying to get that equaliser.
It keeps them right in that playoff spot though, Peter, doesn't it?
Yep,
there's nothing between them, St Mirren and Wraith are winning at the moment. Obviously they're probably going to win the game. St Mirren are going to pick up a point maybe, unless Falkirk come back in the game. So that would be a bad result for Dumbarton today if they lose this game.
Yeah, Stoke 3, Hull 1. Shaqiri scoring the goal there for Stoke City, so it looks as if they're going to get the win, and Hull City certainly not out of relegation danger, not by any manner of means. At St Mirren, if they can hold on, they looked as if, I think 3 points today for St Mirren would have really given them the feeling that they were safe, not even in the playoffs. But it's not done and dusted just yet, but at least they would gain a point on Dumbarton. But it's all to play for, and of course Wraith Rovers with what could be a confidence boosting win today against Morton.
Wraith Rovers is a surprise of the day to me. I know Morton have slipped in form quite dramatically.
Well, Jim Duffy said to me, Hugh, in midweek, he can't put his finger on why they seem to have switched off. He said they must get their edge back before the playoffs.
Very much so, because it looks as if the playoffs will be a long journey for them if they're going to be successful. By that I mean they're not going to finish second, I don't think. So they're going to have to play, an initial game around the games, so they'll have to be ready and ready quickly. I thought Wraith were a bit more of the championships Dundee, and that they were plummeting down, really poor form, disappointing results, just seem to have been resigned to their fate. Obviously not. That's a fantastic result as it stands, or a fantastic score as it stands at the moment for Wraith.
Yep, we're going to keep you up to date with the drama as it unfolds in the last few minutes of the matches, but there's no doubt at Fir Park that'll be a huge relief to Motherwell. They're leading Inverness by 4-2, and as Kevin Harper mentioned at the start of the programme, this Inverness board will have some serious talking to do, Ruffy, before they get to the summer. I don't think there's any doubt that they will stick with Richie Foran to assess the new season.
Yeah, you have to say that in the time they've been up and the cup runs that they've had have been fantastic. They've had a fantastic time. So it might just be like Hibs, a time to drop a division, regroup, and decide which way you're going to go forward.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, let's not kid ourselves on. They don't get massive crowds. They've done fighting way above their weight since they came in. So I think it's just time to
big goal.
regroup.
Hamilton have gone 2-0 up at Dundee.
I'll tell you.
Dundee, you're getting dragged right into it, Peter.
Let's never mind the Hall of Fame, where some very classy players were inducted last night. Right now, the current crop are under severe pressure, Ruffy.
Yeah, that's a sore one, but all credit to Hamilton. They seem to go to these games and stand up and be counted and get the result. But Dundee have been on free fall.
Definitely.
They are.
This would be 6 defeats in a row.
Yeah, I think Dundee and Ross County are obviously the bigger of the sides. You would think Motherwell would draw away, but if Dundee were to drop into there, wow.
What was interesting about it, as I said before, this would be Hamilton's first win of the season. So that as a measure how badly Dundee are doing. But the other point about this is Dundee goes, if the scores stay the way they are now, Dundee goes second bottom.
They're in the playoff spot.
Yes, they go second bottom tonight if it finishes like that.
Yeah, I must give a mention to Greg Spence from Alloa. They're 6-1 up in Brecon City. Flanagan's got the 6th there, but Greg Spence has scored 23 goals this season. It's a great haul for him.
Absolutely, and he was really under the Ross Jack at the beginning of the season. When they went on that great start to the season, I can't remember. I think they went 7-8 games unbeaten.
Yeah.
He was central to that. Peter, Alloa have just about. I think they're just about knocked up to second place
spot,
now, which is given that there's another goal for Dunfermline.
Yeah,
so
2-0.
So Dumbarton will.
They could go second bottom tonight as well.
Yeah. Interesting times.
Yeah, Greg Spence, 23 goals, 24 years of age. I just wonder if maybe somebody would take a little pop at trying to sign him as well.
Well, we saw Paul Hartley took the chance and the two boys from Cowdenbeath, and you have to say that it worked. So I'm sure if there are clubs out there like that looking at that division, then you've got to get somebody to go and watch him at least 3 or 4 games and see what he's like.
And when you're scoring goals as well, we've talked about it, and every team in that top division is looking for goal scorers. Certainly the team in the bottom 6. And it was interesting. Hartley as well bought Elbak Tui from Dunfermline, who are then in the division below. They're in a League 2 side, so he had to jump 2 divisions. But anybody that's scoring goals at the moment, people will be looking at.
There'll be a little bit of a panic going on for Dundee today, Peter, after this game, because we've been saying that they're on a bad run. They were one of the teams that were at one stage were just under the threshold for the top 6. Can Dundee get there? And then their form has just gone so badly. I mean, this would be 6 league defeats in a row, and to lose this say to Hamilton, who have never won an away game, illustrates that this is a bad time for Dundee, and just get into the playoffs when you're in that kind of form. It puts pressure on you, tremendous pressure.
And the first 2 games after the break, I'm looking at your notes, Gordon, for Dundee.
Motherwell and Kilmarnock.
Both away.
Yes, both away.
Yep, it's a big win today if they can hold on, and we're heading towards the latter stages of that match at Fir Park. Motherwell 4-2. Incredible when you consider what Kevin Harper was telling us about that match. It's still 2-2 between Falkirk and St Mirren, which leads me to Easter Road. Let's go there to Des McKeown. They must know, Des, that we're only seconds away from Neil Lennon celebrating Hibs going back to the Premiership.
Yeah, without a doubt, Peter, goes without saying that no Hibernian fans are leaving the ground early today. It doesn't matter what they've got on tonight, they're going to remain within Easter Road to see whether or not their team can celebrate the title victory tonight. As I've said on numerous occasions, Hibs have absolutely lost this game. 3 goals from 3 set pieces, and all the changes have been wrong by... So I'm just trying to understand what's happening in the background from the announcer. I think they're actually saying that should there be any title victory, nobody's to come onto the park. They've put up a very, very
we'll have
loose...
to come back to Des. I'm not quite sure of the just having a sound issue there with Des. Apologies for the breakup of the sound. We will come back to Easter Road and hopefully catch the celebrations from the Hibs fans. It's just breaking up there as we speak. Of course, I think it's one of those points where everybody and their granny starts lifting their phones out and saying "Championis," Ruffy. Is that exactly what it is?
Yeah, I think it'll be a great atmosphere. You know, we discussed it earlier. You know where they were a couple of seasons ago, and the amount of managers that we're going through. And now, obviously, Liam Dempster's got a lot to say to that. You know, she's done particularly well since she's went there. She's regrouped everybody. I don't think anybody mentions Ron Petrie now. I haven't heard his name at all, where he was a focal for the fans. But no, everything's going rosy. And Neil Lennon has to take a lot of credit for that. You know, he's went in and done his own thing. He's not let anybody knock him off his stride. As you said earlier, love him or like him, what he says is what you get.
Yeah, love him or hate him. Love him or like him is a totally different
There's a different
circumstances. I really like him and I love him. To love him or hate him,
Oh, Sunderland have equalised, Peter.
Oh, what a day for Sunderland if they can get a point. It'll make absolutely no difference to the circumstances other than a point. But something to celebrate for the Sunderland fans. 2-2 against West Ham. That's been a good game and certainly a good one to watch. As far as the Premier League is concerned in England, where Everton look as if they're going to get a convincing win as well. And let me also mention to you that we will have a Southampton Manchester City teams to bring you very shortly. That's a 5:30 kick-off, and I think we will be probably... Well, let's go back to Easter Road. I think we might have a better sound from Des McKeown. They're getting close to the celebrations, Des.
Yeah, absolutely, Peter. And as I was explaining, just as we get cut off over on the far side, they've put up some temporary fencing, and the stewards are all round the Easter Road pitch. It is a wall of neon yellow, oblique green, to ensure that should there be a title party, it remains within the stands. So Hibernian are taking measures to make sure that should the title be won tonight, then the playing surface is there for the players to stay on to celebrate along with the fans. So we're into time added on here at Easter Road. It's still 3-0 to Hibs.
Can I just ask you, Ruffy, to sum up Neil Lennon getting Hibs back to the Premiership, which is only seconds away?
Yeah, I have to say at the beginning, I think he took a gamble going there. You know, I think everybody knew what had to happen this year. Hibs had to get promoted, so he went in there. You know, a lot of pressure on him to get that, but I think he won over the players, he won over the fans very, very early and everything that he did. And I think he's done tremendous. As I said just a couple of minutes ago, even at his interviews, you know, he doesn't hold back. You know, he says it for the heart, and I think that's why the fans have taken him.
But I think it was a good appointment because he's a very experienced guy, and you had to have somebody like that in there after Hibs having won the cup, because you don't want these players to suddenly think we're now legends. That's it. They just switch off. But he's got them motivated, Peter, to say no, this is a new season now. We're going to win the league, and now. Tonight the league could be won, and then a fantastic night for them to enjoy, and then next week another semi-final to be in another final of the Scottish Cup.
Yeah, it could be a huge week for Hibernian. That match, Sunderland 2, West Ham 2, there's 10 minutes of additional time being added on there. There must have been an injury to a player, so 10 minutes still time for West Ham to score another 5 goals in that game. You wouldn't bet against it. Stenhousemuir 0, Livingston 1. That match is now finished. We'll be going to Fir Park as well. A great save in the last seconds there from Craig Sampson, diving high to his left to palm Ian Viger's shot away, a former Motherwell player. He's now at Inverness Cali Thistle again, the second period there, and his shot just palmed away. That could have been 4-3. That really would have been interesting had Inverness been able to get one back with only seconds remaining. Gordon.
Big score, Peter. The game at Motherwell is finished, and that is crucial because, as I say, this was a game that Inverness had to get something from, and they haven't, even despite the fact that, as I say, I'm really looking forward to hearing what the report was on the game, because I think that what an opportunity they had when they get back to 2 each.
Let's go to the Championship. Full time at Easter Road, Des McKeown.
It's finished at Easter Road. It's Hibernian 3, Queen of the South 0. 2 first half goals by Darren McGregor on 12 and 38 minutes from set plays. Put Neil Lennon's side in the driving seat. A goal, second minute of the second half by David Gray has concluded the points and given all 3 points to Neil Lennon's side today. I'm just looking down in front of us because we're just waiting for confirmation to find out if Falkirk have indeed drawn with St Mirren, and if they have, then Hibs will be declared the championship title winners. It's finished at Easter Road. Hibs 3, Queen of the South 0. There's lots more to come as every single fan awaits the news from New Brockville. No Hibernian fans have left the ground yet. We've finished the game, but there's plenty still to come. Finished here, Hibs 3, Queen of the South 0.
Yep, we will be back to you, and hopefully with a bit of luck, and I think that confirmation is just coming in. Let's see the celebrations. Yep. I'm sure the camera will go round to have a look at the Hibs fans and the players all celebrating. Hibs are heading back to the Premiership, and there you can see it, the Hibs fans at this moment ecstatic, and what
players
a crowd,
are off the
what
pitch.
a turnout there, Des.
Yeah, absolutely, Peter. It's fantastic. As I said, nobody has left the stadium yet. We're just awaiting the players to come back onto the pitch. You can hear the fans in the background singing the anthems. We'll be getting the tannoy on very soon. I'm sure Sunshine and Leaf will be blaring very shortly. We're just waiting on Neil Lennon and his players to come out to take the applause of the Hibs faithful.
Okay, and we'll be going to Fir Park because Kevin Harper will not be too far away with the drama that unfolded. 6 goals, and remember, this was Kevin saying could have been 5 each in the first half of their match. We'll be going to Fir Park very shortly, and over and above that, I can tell you Rangers 2, Partick Thistle 0. That match is finished, so a win there for Rangers against Partick Thistle, and elsewhere Dundee 0, Hamilton Accies 2. Let's go to Fir Park, get a quick summing up of the 90 minutes. Kevin Harper, Motherwell against Inverness Cally Thistle.
Incredible game, Peter. 6 goals. Motherwell ran out the winners and probably deserved it, in the second half performance. But the first half, they went ahead when Cannon cut in from the right hand side and bent a lovely ball into the bottom right hand corner. And then it went two ahead when Moults crossed 2 minutes later. A mix up with McCartan and Warren Williams, and the ball dropped into the goal. But Inverness came back into it, and Polworth's shot was deflected by Fisher on the 20th minute to make it at half time. Motherwell 2, Inverness 1. The second half, Inverness started really well, and Julie got an equaliser. Tansy's lovely defence splitting pass into Fisher, and Fisher lobbed Sampson to make it 2 each. But then 2 great bits of wing play from Motherwell decided the game. It was fair, lovely wing play down the right hand side. He just dinked the ball up to the back post where McDonald headed against the post and it went in. The referee gave it, and then McDonald made it 3-2. McDonald twisted and turned into the box, and another lovely cross up, and ran Campbell, headed from 4 yards out to make it 4-2. Great, fantastic game here at Fir Park. It finished Motherwell 4, Inverness 2.
Yeah, what a game that Kevin has witnessed there. We'll be going back to Fir Park to get his thoughts and the manager's thoughts. One, an elated Stephen Robinson, and the other, a dejected Richie Foran. The drama of the Premiership, top and bottom, coming up next. Welcome back to Peter and Ruffy's Saturday Football Show. To Easter Road, to the capital, where Hibernian are celebrating they've won the championship.
Yes, Peter, it's now full sunshine and Leith mode as the Hibernian players go round the pitch, taking the applause of their support. We've got the entire backroom team, Neil Lennon down touchline, but the players are those who are out on the pitch taking the applause. They've fully deserved this championship. I don't think anyone would deny them that. They have been fantastic today, 3-0 victors over Queen of the South. But when Neil Lennon was brought in last summer to replace Alan Stubbs, it was the first job was to get Hibs back to the Premiership. He has delivered that, his players have delivered that, and today they are enjoying their minutes, their moments of fame in front of a packed Easter Road. Absolutely terrific scenes around us here. As I said earlier, not one Hibs fan left prior to the final whistle. They know it's been 3 years in the waiting, getting back to the top flight. They've delivered. They're going to enjoy their moment in the sunshine and Leith.
Yeah, and as I see the pictures there, Ruffy, you can see them as well. As a former Hibs player, the support is magnificent. It's been consistent throughout. They're in the semi-finals of the Scottish Cup, and as you can see at Easter Road there, the players deserve all the adulation.
Yeah, and it just goes to show you when you give supporters a good team and playing good football, they come back. The same happened with Alec McLeish as well. They come back in their numbers when they were down a division. All credit to them. These supporters are loyal right through. But again, I think Neil Lennon deserves a lot of credit for what he's done.
Incredible there, and of course it's one of those songs that hairs on the back of your neck when they're all singing it.
I know, it's tremendous. I mean, the fans have all stayed on. The big thing they were waiting on was just this result from Falkirk, just to see whether the championship was won. The job had already been done by Hibs. A good victory, considering the fact that they've not been in great winning form of late. 6 draws in the last 8 games. But I thought they would win today because I think they were highly motivated.
Yeah, okay, so there you have it. Easter Road celebrating. Let's bring you the full-time scores. In the Premiership in Scotland, first of all, Kilmarnock 0, Hearts 0 was last night. Dundee 0, Hamilton 2, Motherwell 4, Inverness Caledonian Thistle 2, Rangers 2, Partick Thistle 0, and St Johnstone 1, Aberdeen 2. Ross County take on Celtic tomorrow at 12:30. In the Championship, Dumbarton 0, Dunfermline 2, Falkirk 2, St Mirren 2, Hibs 3, Queen of the South 0. Hibs are the champions. Wraith Rovers 2, Morton 0. Ayr United, Dundee United, 5:15 tonight. In League 1, Alloa 6, Brecon City 1, East Fife 1, Peterhead 2, Queen's Park 2, Albion Rovers 0, Stenhousemuir 0, Livingston 1, Stranraer 2, Airdrieonians 1. In League 2, Annan Athletic 2, Berwick Rangers 1, Arbroath 0, Edinburgh City 1, Clyde 3, Elgin City 2, Montrose 1, Forfar 0, and Stirling Albion 0, Cowdenbeath 3. In the Premier League, Tottenham have defeated Bournemouth 4-0. It's Crystal Palace 2, Leicester 2, Everton 3, Burnley 1, Stoke City 3, Hull 1, Sunderland 2, West Ham 2, and Watford 1, Swansea 0. That's what's called getting it right in and giving you all the information. Welcome back to Peter and Ruffy's Saturday football show. Hibernian have been crowned champions of the championship. Let's quickly go to Fir Park. I think Richie Foran might be there to give us his thoughts on the game.
My players are adamant it hasn't crossed the line. And one of their players, who was right beside it, has just told me in the corridor that it definitely didn't go over the line. Kills me. Kills us. I've made a decision. You've got to be 100% correct. And he was obviously wrong. He's played a big part in the outcome of this game today.
So maybe to tell you the potential consequences given where we are in the season and the table, how does that?
But this won't affect the lines, man. He's not going to phone me during the week and apologise. He just got on with it. He's made a mistake. Doesn't understand the consequences for us. Probably doesn't care. I don't know him personally. You can't make a decision like that unless you're 100%. Look how far away he is. I think you can tell by body language of players as well. You've probably seen yourselves, I'm not sure, but it's this stage of the season, big decision. Big decision. To be so far away, it's just when their player tells me in the corridor, it definitely wasn't over the line.
It looks from the pictures and events that we've seen as though the goalkeeper would actually be doing this is not his view of the game.
Maybe he wants to make a name for himself. There you go. Disappointing. I thought Willie Collum had a very, very good game as well. He's got a lot of criticism over the years. I think this season he's been one of the best referees in the league, so I've got to give him credit. It wasn't his decision. But, unbelievable decision. Unbelievable.
You can tell, Ruffy, by the reaction from Richie Foran that he is furious with the officials with that decision there.
Yeah, well, he can tell, you know, what decisions like that make. It's lifetime decisions, you know, it's his career, it's his players and where they end up and their wages and everything that goes along with it. And it just shows you how, I mean, we haven't seen it. You know, I'd like to see it before. We've heard managers doing that before. But the bottom line is the goalkeeper will know whether it's over the line or not because he's the one that's clawed it out. But until we actually see it, but if it is, as he said, it is a game-changing decision.
Well, I'm going to try and show you, Gordon. I'm going to actually try and show you. We have a picture of it, a still frame of it, which we'll put up. Which again it's not conclusive. It's not goal line technology. It's just a framed shot of it, which will hopefully get you after this quick break. But nevertheless, it's been given. And as you say, it's the implications for Richie Foran and his side are huge. Huge, especially at a time when the goals come at a time when they're two each and they're pushing to get a winner. He looked more upset than he did angry, to be honest with you there. I felt as if he was close to crying at one point, didn't he?
But I think the crucial thing in it, Peter, is he's 100% correct when he says that you can only give those decisions when you are 100% correct. You can't have you can't have a stab at this, Peter. No, absolutely right. That one is going to rumble on and on all the way through the weekend. There's huge implications for Richie Foran and Inverness. The goal was given. Motherwell were celebrating. There'll be more reaction to that. And Hibernian at Easter Road next.
Welcome back to Peter and Ruffy's Saturday Football Show. Hibs are the title winners in the Championship. Neil Lennon is speaking to the press as we speak.
There's no point in being a good footballing team if you're not winning. And we played with a bit of style and swagger today, which pleased me.
Did you enjoy it? Because obviously you said you weren't going to get feedback from what was happening at the Falkirk game, but the crowd let you know what you sort of...
I enjoyed the performance, you know, I was pleased with that, you know, and the goals, you know, I knew, you know, when the crowd went up that Falkirk were losing, and I was thinking to myself, well, it'll be difficult for them to get 2 now, you know, even the draw's not enough for them, so yeah, you can sort of sit back and relax and enjoy maybe the last 10-15 minutes, which is a novelty for me this season.
Neil, was there a specific point in the season that you realised?
Yeah, good question. Dundee United away, when we had to go there and win, or they had to close the gap to maybe 4 points, and I think we extended it to 10. But it was the manner of the performance that day as well. You know, there's real intensity and steel about the team, and Cummings did what Cummings does, scores big goals, and just thought, yeah, it's going to take a good team to stop us now, you know, off the back of that performance, under the pressure that the players are under as well. So I thought, yeah, I think we've got this now.
You enjoy this week now?
Well, enjoy the week. We've watched Aberdeen 3 times, and listen, they're a good team. They've gone to St Johnstone and won today, and that's not an easy thing to do. They keep winning games. I thought they were unlucky last week, you know, albeit Rangers won, but I think the scoreline flattered Rangers. But it's a semi-final, and we'll go there with confidence, and we'll go there to win. Okay? Cheers, thanks.
So, there you have it. There is a very happy man indeed, Ruffy, and I think he can breathe a huge sigh of relief now because the title's in the bag. Yeah. Now it's all about taking on Aberdeen, and they go into it as underdogs.
Yeah, I mean, I said earlier that he was under a lot of responsibility to get Hibs up there. It had to be a must. It couldn't be a failure. They couldn't, go into the playoffs. They needed to get them up, and obviously the spin-off of that is the cup run, and in light of winning it. And now you're in a semi-final to get a chance to go into another final. It's just, if you're a Hibs supporter, it's just a fantastic season that you've had, and obviously throw in beating Hearts as well, helps.
Yeah, of course, that's something that will be back regularly on the calendar, which is great because if we're talking about the increase in the attendances in the Premiership in Scotland, Hugh, with Rangers coming back, another boost will be Hibs coming back for the Edinburgh derby.
Yeah, and Hibs coming back full stop, and Hibs coming back from the Edinburgh derby. Absolutely right, Peter. I think we're talking about managers of the year and things like that, and what Neil Lennon has done is really puts him into that frame, because his sole responsibility was to get Hibs up. No matter how you get, this was a club that is geared to the division. Another year would have severe implications on the club, and he's done it. And he's thrown in a cup run, which has included a marvellous defeat over Hearts. And they'll go to Hampden, I would imagine, next Saturday, and feeling quite sprightly about things, because they'll know that they're underdogs. They'll relish it. They didn't do so bad when they were at Hampden the last time. So I think next weekend is just, we'll reflect on this weekend because it's been so dramatic already, but next weekend is just looking like an incredible 2 semi-finals.
Yeah, absolutely. And over and above that, the main topic of conversation, I'm almost certain, over the course of this weekend on the back pages of every newspaper will be Richie Foran's reaction to the goal being given, the third goal, the crucial one that gave Motherwell a huge lift today. Scott McDonald's header coming off the post. It looked as if the goalkeeper was able to just claw that ball away. It hadn't gone over the line. The full ball hadn't gone over the line, according to Richie Foran. He said some players, Motherwell players included, had mentioned that to him. The referee has awarded the goal. This is a still picture. It confirms nothing, and I'm sure 2 or 3 different camera angles, depending on how many cameras were there for the television companies, may well offer you a greater insight. Listen, you can look at it any way you want. It's just not conclusive, Ruffy, on that picture there. But that just shows you how difficult that job would have been with that header.
Yeah, you're right in what you're saying. There'll be different angles you see it. And a wee point I'm looking at is where the goalkeeper's actually feet are. He's well over the line, so he must have thought the ball was going over. His whole body is practically over the line. So You'd have to see it in real time, you know, and judge it.
That's a good point. The point I was going to make about it was if the follow on from that is the goalkeeper clawed that ball away with his right arm, then as Ruffy says, he's behind the line, and if he's clawed it away with his right arm, it looks as if there's a very good chance that the ball then was over the line. We don't know, we can't tell whether that ball's coming down or whether it's going towards goal or whatever. You need to see a video evidence of it. The other argument that will go against Richie Thorne is, I don't know whether MD will bring this up in the interview, they'll say, you lost 4-2, you didn't lose 3-2. I know he will say that was a crucial part of the game.
Yeah, absolutely. As ever, I think Stephen Robinson is not too far from sitting down. Let's go to Fir Park to hear what he has to say.
We're 6 to be a nice weekend then, wasn't it? Listen, it was a massive game for us, you know, make no mistake, we knew that. We couldn't dress it any other way. Actually, I think we had hard work of it. We were 2-0 up and cruising, should have been 3, you know, we had a super chance to make it 3 and game over. But, you know, an individual error then cost us the goal in the second half. But I think the character the boys showed and the determination and belief in what we're doing was fantastic, you know, and I thought we were comfortable in it.
Richie feels a sense of injustice about the third goal. What was your view of it?
Well, considering that we had a goal disallowed when it was about 4 yards over the line, I think that's probably a little bit of justice for us. You know, obviously, the referee's got such a difficult decision to make. I've said it 100 times, they need help with it. They need help, but you know, maybe that's a little bit of luck that we deserved, and I think we earned that. We still want to get through to them.
And before your time as well, I see maybe my hands talking about you want to Dundee as well earlier in the season.
Yeah, I've seen it on TV as well, so that was a goal as well. So, you know, I think we're certainly due a little bit of fortune, due a little bit of luck. Richie had fairly hard done by now. Fortunately, the decisions that affect people's livelihoods, affect clubs and people in jobs in clubs. So, you know, it's about time we give them some help again. But for us, we'll take that to we deserve the credit.
Taking from your sponsors.
Well, there you have it. Isn't it amazing how someone can look at it one way and the other manager highlights the fact that Motherwell maybe have been denied a couple of goals through the season. I don't believe things balance themselves out, Hugh. I'm not into that.
Yeah, but I think God's got too much on his plate to decide. You know, it's about time we gave Motherwell a goal because they lost to Basel at Dundee. You know, no, I don't. And he's making all the right noises, but this idea, you know, it's time we gave managers, referees a bit of help. That's great, and well, you know, but if you said to him, listen, we can give referees a bit of help, or you can have 5 new players next year, what would he go for? Because that's the money we're talking about, Peter. We're not talking about, you know, a grand here or 2 grand here. We're talking about hundreds of thousands of pounds. It's not going to happen. It's as simple as that, and we're just going to have to suck it up. The only thing I would say in it, and I would reiterate again, if this ball hasn't crossed the line and it's shown that, that's a horrible decision, because you can always say to an assistant referee or a referee, if you didn't see it, fair enough. We're all human. But you can't give something because you've thought you've seen it.
But the unfortunate aspect of it, and the most critical aspect of this, Gordon Smith, on such decisions, managers lose their jobs, their career.
Well, absolutely. I mean, as I say, if they're so important that it can be the difference between promotion and relegation. I mean, if that hadn't gone in and maybe Inverness had gone on to win the game, Peter, you're talking about a 1 point gap then between them and Dundee. Do you know what I mean? And them and Motherwell, should say, 2 points to Dundee. So it would have been so tight then, and you're thinking, well, Inverness are still right in it. But you're right. 2 things can happen here. A manager's position is under pressure. I think that came across in Richie Thorne's interview there. I think he saw that as a personal thing. And secondly, the club possibly going to be relegated because of that decision.
Well, suddenly you've got a situation here where there's 5 points of a gap, roughly, between themselves and, would you believe it, Dundee. Motherwell have got a little bit of leeway between themselves and Dundee of 2 points, but suddenly Paul Hartley is right in the mix.
Yeah, I still think it's all to play for. 15 points in the split, you know. They've all got to play each other. We've saw the fixtures, who's got home, who's got away. You know, you go on a bad run in that split, it doesn't matter who you are, you're going to be in the mix, you know. But obviously Inverness at this moment in time are up against it. Again, we'll look at their fixtures at the split, three games away from home, you know. But all right, Richie Thorne's, he's upset, and quite rightly so, because he thinks it obviously wasn't over the line. But I'm sure there was some way through the season that they got a wee turn as well. But I know it doesn't help.
Ruffy,
I know it doesn't
with all
help,
due
but-
respect, I know you're trying to balance it here, but Richie Foran would look at you and say, away and give me peace.
Yeah, but you got to say, there's no hard evidence that the ball was over the line. You know, it's not as if there are a clear cut when we see it that it is all over the line, you know, and then you can say, oh, you're right, Richie, but he's saying, oh, his player said it wasn't, and their player saying, I mean, it happens so quick, you know, to make a decision.
It depends the effect.
You know.
I know what you mean, Ruffy, but what I was saying earlier on, it depends on the effect this had in the game, because if I was Motherwell manager now, I was saying, we won 4-2, so we got another goal. That one might not have counted, but we still scored another goal and we won. If it had been 3-2, they might have a different argument. I think there'll be arguments like that, Peter, to say, not necessarily that Inverness were going to win the game just because that goal wasn't given, if it hadn't been given, you know what I mean?
Yep, absolutely. Tony Finn has said, well done to Hibernian winning the championship. Just goes to show what a good manager Neil Lennon is. I mean, he should be given a lot of credit. Sometimes I think Neil Lennon's the sideshow that follows him sometimes overshadows his achievement.
Oh yeah, very much so. Remember, I mean, the bottom line is, we can't keep repeating, you know, emphasising this too much. The bottom line was, he comes in and they say to him, you've got to win the league. That's it. And that is now people can go on about budgets and the resources and all that, but that's a big mission statement, that, and he's done it. Yeah. And he not only is that, he's thrown in a comprehensive defeat of Hearts, and they all go to Hampden next Saturday for a title celebration at Hampden, which might even turn into a final celebration.
Yeah, I'll tell you something else that we all have to contemplate now, Gordon Smith, which is, you know, for the city of Dundee, not something I think they were thinking about at the start of the season, but suddenly you could have, potentially, with the way the playoffs go, Dundee against Dundee United for the right to have a place in the Premiership.
Yeah, that would be amazing. I mean, that certainly it would create a lot of excitement, wouldn't it? I mean, the fact that you have a Dundee derby in that scenario. The other scenario I was thinking about, Peter, was a lot of people were thinking, we really want to get a Dundee derby again. Dundee United to come up. No, it might be the other way around. Dundee going down. Yeah. That could happen if they suddenly find themselves in the playoff and get relegated. You've got a Dundee derby in the Championship, and you don't want that. So I think that you know, they need to get a grip of themselves, Dundee, though, because to be fair, as I said, that's 6 defeats in a row. And that is relegation form without doubt. And they're playing, to be fair to them, they've got a home game. Their game against Inverness is a home game. That could be a crucial game, because Ruffy says it's only 5 points in it, as we're saying earlier on. But 5 points is still, when you're in the kind of form that they're in, Inverness and Dundee, 5 points is still difficult to get. So there's 5 games left, and both of them have 3 away out of the 5.
You couldn't ask for anything better when it comes to all the things that are at stake as far as the Premiership to the Championship, Hugh. It's got it all. Even the Championship at the bottom end has it all, because it's so tight, because of Falkirk St Mirren's result today, Dumbarton's defeat at Dunfermline, at the bottom, Wraith Rovers win over Morton. Suddenly, this is as cutthroat as it gets.
And we've still got a bit to come, because Ayr United are playing against Dundee United at the moment. And so there's another, whatever happens there, it's going to have implications on the bottom and the top of the division. You know, can Dundee United bounce back and say, right, we're the second best team in this division? Can Ayr win and say, you know something, Simon, you're not out of it yet, even though you got a point at Falkirk?
Well, if you're absolutely right. If Ayr win this game today, then it puts 4 teams at the bottom and very little between them, Peter.
A point.
A point, exactly, and a bit of pressure on, because Dumbarton are now second bottom. So you've got Dumbarton down there, you've got Wraith and St Mirren. So it actually makes a lot of excitement down the bottom.
With somebody that's saying at St Mirren, they've got the hardest running of them all in the last 4 games.
I have, I think.
Yeah, I mentioned that, Ruffy, because
it's the top.
I think they're banking on Wraith Rovers at the last game of the season, but I think they're banking on Hibernian, title in bag, all thinking about the cup, maybe even thinking about a cup final by the time you get to the tail end of the playoffs. But that's all ifs, buts and maybes, as they say, and the permutations are incredible. It's Ayr United 0, Dundee United 0 in that championship match, which we'll be keeping a close eye on before we get to the end of this programme. We've had the drama, we've had the elation of Neil Lennon talking to us on the programme about that title win today in the championship. We've had the reaction from Richie Foran on the programme about the goal that should never have stood in his mind for Inverness, and we've also had Stephen Robinson saying maybe Motherwell deserve a wee bit of luck as they've had a 4-2 win over Inverness at the bottom. The battle at the bottom of the table is absolutely incredible, and who knows, we could have a Dundee derby for a playoff as well, but there's a lot of water under the bridge before that happens. And of course, tomorrow, Ross County not out of it. They face Celtic, they're right up against it. Celtic title in bag, now thinking Rangers on the horizon, but still trying to protect over this next couple of weeks the unbeaten run.
I think that's the crucial thing. That's the crucial bad news for Ross County. I think that see if Celtic were ambling towards a semi-final, which they are, the league in the bag, and Brendan Rodgers could sit down and say, you know what, I'll drop 6, I'll drop 6, 7, 8, 9 input.
Yeah.
Which he did, by the way, the corresponding fixture early in the season. Remember, he played almost a reserve team up at Dingwall, and they won 4-0. But I think this invincible Celtic, players and management are playing this down. But I think it's a huge thing in that dressing room.
I think it's keeping the motivation going with that, and it might be the right thing to do, because as I've said before, we've seen so often, and this is maybe a good example with Partick today. Partick reached their goal last week, top 6 position. What's happened? They've lost. They hadn't lost for a while. They lost because a lot of times when players achieve their goals, they drop off a wee bit. But Brendan Rodgers is keeping Celtic's motivation going on the basis of, no, we're going for this run of unbeaten games, record number of points, and trying to get the treble. And that I think that's why Celtic will be motivated tomorrow. And Ross County are fortunate in one respect. The result Inverness got today
helped him great. The other thing as well is, like, if which he will, I think he'll change his side. I don't think he'll play a full strength Celtic tomorrow, but that might not be good for Ross County either, because the players come in. They're desperate now. There's real competition for
semi-final places.
Well, here's the Premiership table as it stands. It just shows you the drama of today's events. Celtic way out in front. Aberdeen and Rangers still battling it for the second and third place. Whether it's just a forlorn hope for Rangers, only time will tell. There's St Johnstone behind them as well, and also at the bottom end there, Ross County will not consider themselves out of a possible playoff place either, and of course they come up against a formidable Celtic side. Hughes mentioned going undefeated is key to them. Here's Brendan Rodgers, the Celtic manager, talking about their form of late.
It's going into each game. It's not necessarily about wanting to just purely keep the unbeaten run going. Our focus has always been on to the next game, and if we can do that and keep up the performance level, then we have a chance of doing that. The players consistently have been outstanding this season in their approach and the quality of the game, so we just have to keep that going.
Yeah, so you can tell right away he's trying to play it calm, but I think he's got the bit between his teeth. I think the players in the dressing room, Ruffy, will be discussing that.
Yeah, and Hughes touched on it as well. The guys that are on the fringe will be talking about it as well. They'll be hoping, sitting there going, I hope he leaves him out, and I hope he leaves him out, and I get a chance to go in and get a hat-trick, and then next minute I'm in the side. But it remains to be seen which players he thinks are the big players for the games. The 2 big games coming up. Tomorrow when we see the Celtic team lines, we'll know the ones he's trying to protect, and it'll be interesting if Dembele.
I think you could almost pick that. You could almost pick Celtic's first team though, if you were asked, couldn't you? Really, it's quite obvious who the main players are. You get Brown, Armstrong, and you get people like you've got Forrest, Sinclair, Dembele. They're the main players. There's no doubt about that.
I always think that there's maybe one position up for grabs in midfield. Does Rodgick come back in? Because he's got a lot of time for Rodgick. You look at McGregor's there, he's playing really well. Beaton's fell off, but you're looking at the two centre backs. Where does he go? What is his strongest centre back pairing? I would say it was probably Boyata and Simonovic. But Sviatchenko might disagree with that. You know, I think, as Gordon's right, I think there's only wee tweaks he's got to make to his team, or little decisions he's got. He's probably actually got his team more or less for the Rangers match in his mind. But tomorrow, I think he'll try and protect some of the players tomorrow. I mean, it's a long season for some of them.
Well, it's funny you saying that, because this is what Brendan Rodgers had to say about maybe fringe players getting a chance to show what they can do in the team.
Some of the players, like you say, being on the outside, we'll get some games. It's a chance that we maybe get one or two with some knocks that we just need to, prepare right. But yeah, there'll be some changes in it throughout the course of the season. But I don't give up places just for the sake of it. You know, if there's a young player comes in, he has to earn his place in the team, and for him to do that, he has to earn it over a senior professional who might not be playing. So the young players, they have to fight in every game that they're playing to stand out. You know, get Tommy McIntyre and Jim McGuinness here do a great job with our development team. So we've got constant communication. And if the boys are doing well there, then there's always possibilities that they can play.
Yeah, I think some of the fringe players would have to really impress over the remaining games of the season. One or two might just give the manager food for thought, but he's already mentioned he wants 3 players of the standard of Scott Sinclair, who could be the player of the year. He's certainly one of the players we anticipate to be a major nominee in that category, and with that in mind, I think some fans automatically Ruffy start putting a list of the players they think are leaving. I think Izagiri is one that I think automatically they would look at that might be going to pastures new. Who knows, is there a Nir Beaton, is there an Eric Sviatchenko as well?
Yeah, I think you've named 3 that I would, not the bad players, it's just that they're not any better than what's in the team just now. And if he's want to improve year on year, then obviously I think these players have had their time, and then he can identify better players coming in.
Yeah, I'm trying to think, have I missed any one of the key players? These are the players that you've got money for.
Yeah, and you maybe see there'd have to be a question mark over at least one of the goalies. Do you keep Logan Bailly and Dorius De Vries, especially when you've got a really good youngster and Fuzan coming through? So there's probably sort of room for manoeuvre there. Beaton was looked upon, remember, not that long ago, Celtic were saying, 6 million and all that. He's fallen off the radar. I think Brendan probably doesn't like his lack of sort of dynamism. He's a very good passer and retainer of the ball, but he doesn't do things quickly. So I think as a Greer, I
think Bailly's got another year to go in his contract though. He's definitely third choice, because even during the last week there, I think he brought in one of the young keepers to be on the bench rather than and because De Vries is out injured just now. And Bailly's been the sub, but he wasn't. I think Sifsty's still there, isn't he?
Well, I think he's on loan, but I think they'll look to offload him as well.
I think so. He's another one that will go. I think.
Scott Allen looks as if the boy Fraser has jumped ahead of him.
Yeah, and Christie. I still think there's a decision to be made on these players. If you're adding a number 10 and you're adding a defender and a striker,
and you've got young boy Nesbitt, I think, who's out at Morton as well, isn't he?
He's gone back. The guy Aitchison, Jack Aitchison, they really fancy him as well. They really like him.
Okay.
So there's decisions to be made, Peter. That's
Is Toure still got time in his contract?
Yeah, I think Toure will stay, and I think the reason Toure will stay is not so much as a player,
as a coach.
As he'll stay as a coach, because word from Lennoxtown and from anybody around Celtic just says that he's a huge presence.
Yeah, and again, when you consider what he's achieved in his career, he will be someone that can influence the youngsters as well, and certainly the footage of them celebrating the championship, it doesn't look as if he's let himself go physically either. The six-pack is still intact. Okay, if you have just joined us, it's been a day of drama in the Premiership and the Championship as well. This is the point where probably Alex Ferguson has mentioned it on many an occasion, squeaky bum time for a number of clubs, managers, players, fans up and down the country, and none more so than the Inverness fans who made the journey, and a long journey it was to Fir Park to watch Motherwell defeat their side by 4-2. But the third goal seems to be the real controversial issue. And we watched from the press conference Richie Foran with head in hands, Ruffy, clearly upset, raging with the match officials and awarding the goal from Scott McDonald. They believe that ball did not cross the line, the full ball.
Yeah, it was quite emotional. Gordon's touched on that, and you could see it was hurting him. Not as a manager, but personally as well. Now you can imagine everything going through his head, you know, when that happened. You know, obviously his job's under pressure, and all the players and the families and everything that goes with it. So, yeah, I agree with Gordon. I think he was just a hair's breadth away from breaking down. And there is a moment in everybody's life when the pressure really hits you and you've got to try and deal with it. And the questions he was asking him were just borderline on.
I'd have loved if you'd have come in, you know, a live feed for Bell's Hill, and he said, and Ruffy come in and say, well, these things even themselves out over the season, Richie. That'd have been out. It'd have went postal.
Another fact that must have helped upset him, he referred to in his press conference here, it was Motherwell players saying to him it wasn't over the line. Can you imagine how that would make you feel when you're thinking that's controversial, and then Motherwell players say that wasn't a goal. Can you imagine how he felt?
I have to be honest with you, the early signs from some of the reports from the broadcasters who would see the pictures coming in is that the goal should not have stood. So that in itself, when you get a chance to see 2 and 3 angles of a ball, whether it crossed the line or not, that will be again, it's one of those things that you know, it forces people to say, let's get the goal line technology similar to England. But as you mentioned, it's costly, Ruffy.
Yeah, it's costly. Obviously, it'd be cheaper to have that. What is he, the 5th official
behind the goals?
Yeah. It'd be cheaper to do that. If you wanted to get down that line, I don't know what the fees are for an extra official.
It'd be another £300 or £400 a game, but as you say, it might, if you work out over the season at the highest level, it could be cheaper than goal line technology.
But would they be right?
But the association would have to. Well, the association would have to pay for it.
Do what they used to do. The juniors, you'll know this. When they didn't have enough fee for linesmen, they hadn't enough fee for the linesman. You just had the fee for the referee. What you got was a committee member from the club who went honestly behind to make decisions, flags and everything.
I don't like. I might just nail this one. I don't like the 5th official. I think completely and utterly useless. If anything, the UEFA competition has proved that, again, do they make a decision? Are they allowed to get involved?
Well, see, the classic thing is, I went, before this came in, this was trialled in Cyprus in an under-17 tournament, and Scottish referees were part of the trial. It was Dougie MacDonald, Ian Brines and Callum Murray were the referees, with some linesmen went over, and we thought, so this could be a game changer, because they got really involved in things. Where the game changer was at corner kicks. They stopped any tugging at corner kicks, because they said to the referee, he's tugging him. Right, next time you do that, it's a penalty. So it ended up in the tournament, there was no problems at corner kicks. But in the Champions League, they don't do that. They don't say to their number 5's pulling somebody, and the referee can say, listen, my guy behind the goal says you're pulling somebody. If he says it in play, that is when the ball's in the air, I'm giving a penalty. But they don't do it.
The other one that gets me is when you get the top games and it goes to penalty kicks. And there's a linesman standing watching to see if the goalkeeper's moved
off his line.
And he's halfway up.
And
nobody's ever pulled up.
I don't know what's happened, because in effect, it's one of these things. In theory, it's a good idea, and in practice and trials, it really worked well, Peter. You know, but they don't do what they should do. They abdicate responsibility. You even see with penalties where, particularly a penalty when a guy's running through on goal, where the referee obviously is yards behind, so he's seeing a back angle, but the guy's standing on the line watching the guy run towards him. He says, penalty, definitely, and doesn't give it.
I'm not even a fan. I'm not buying into it. I just don't like 5th official, and you're relying on his eye and his interpretation.
Absolutely.
I think the technology is now, definitive. It's proved.
Yes.
Let's use it.
The only thing is, you said, I agree with you totally. The only thing is, I say, is a cost element to it. and that's what it'd be it's about 220, 225,000 pounds for each club to do it.
Yeah.
So if you look at that, it's probably not going to happen in Scottish football.
Never happening in Scottish football.
No, do you know the funny thing is? I mean, listen, I beg to differ with you. I think what will happen is if it gets to a situation where suddenly that determines a club's fate, I think they'll all get round the table and say, "Listen, we have to move with this. There has to be 1.25 million, or listen, 2.5 million around every club to get this in."
I hope so. I hope you're right. I'd like to see it.
I don't see it though.
No,
too much money. I'd love to see it.
I think the decisions will force us to move into the 21st century with it. Usually we're ahead in Scotland with certain decisions, but with a lack of cash, you never know. Again, Richie Foran is an unhappy man. It's a long journey up the road with Inverness losing that game against Motherwell by 4-2. The full-time scores again after the break. the resumption of the Edinburgh Derby, among other things. Even George has been sending us a message on Facebook saying, I wonder where you think they will end up in the Premiership, the standard of the team they've got at the moment, and what they will need to supplement that Championship winning side, Ruffy.
Well, I always think that the first year up is a bit just consolidating yourself. You know, if you can sneak into the top 6, it'd be a bonus. But it all depends on what players he brings in, what kind of budget. I wouldn't think they'd be spending lots and lots of money. Neil will have to use his contacts and bring some players in, maybe from down south that he's worked with, that might be able to squeeze the budget a wee bit more and give them, you know, a better player. But they'll come in and they'll hold their own. I don't think they'd be any worse than the bottom 6 that are there just now. No. So they would want to come back and compete with them at least.
They're a well-run club. They've got money, Gordon.
Yeah.
They can spend it wisely. The season ticket sales will be through the roof.
I think so, and as I say, they'll be identifying players without doubt that even as I say, players who are actually in the Championship just now, maybe even in League One, spoke about earlier on, boys who are at a good level, scoring goals. So they'll look to bring in players, I think. You know, you look at, they brought in McGregor last year from Rangers and got him from nothing, and he's turned out to be a great signing. So there'll be players maybe getting released by some of the big clubs that are available too. Might even go for some loan deals. Neil Lennon will have loads of contacts. So I think that, as Ruffy says, I don't think there's much to differentiate the bottom 6, and maybe even you go above that and say Partick, Hearts, St Johnstone, can Hibs compete with them? Yeah, probably they can. So I think they'll do okay.
I think they'll be looking at keeping players as well. McGinn's vital to them, and people will be looking at him in the summer and going, we've already heard the rumours. So I think it's, apart from signing players, they'll have to know who they're keeping. I don't think Cummins is a game breaker for them. I could see Cummins going, and I could see them not be an outbreak of grief over that if they got decent money. I mean, if they got the money that was offered for them last summer, I think they would take it and invest it elsewhere. There's interesting little sidelines. Would Effie Ambrose stay on as well?
I can't see it, Hugh, if only for the fact that I think his wage would be way above most of the people in there. If Celtic are not supplementing that wage,
they will be
over there, and I can't see that figure being.
What about Commons? I mean, he's out of contract.
Oh, Dundee United scored, by the way, against Ayr. Dundee United 1-0 up.
So that is a blow for Ayr United at the bottom end of the table, and on a day when St Mirren managed to get a point, Dumbarton lost to Dunfermline. Ayr United would be looking to do something, anything, to keep it alive there, and of course they're a goal behind to Dundee United. I can't see them being able to suck up that sort of cost, and again, when a guy goes on a huge amount of money, it creates an imbalance as well, Gordon.
Yeah, it does. It can upset the squad and all that, but I agree with you, Peter, that Celtic will be supplementing that. They would want to put him out on loan, so Hibs will be paying part of it, but they will not be paying his full wages, which will be well above the level of wage that Hibs would normally pay for a player.
Okay, we're going to go through the full-time scores for you, just in case you have just joined us on a day when there was a big win for Motherwell in the Premiership. Here's how it all panned out in the Premiership in Scotland. Kilmarnock 0, Hearts 0 from last night. It was Dundee 0, Hamilton Accies 2, Motherwell 4, Inverness Cally Thistle 2, Rangers 2, Partick Thistle 0, St Johnstone 1, Aberdeen 2, and Ross County against Celtic is tomorrow at 12:30 in the Championship. Hibernian are confirmed as the champions with their win today. It finished Dumbarton 0, Dunfermline 2, Falkirk 2, St Mirren 2, Hibernian 3, Queen of the South 0, Wraith Rovers 2, Morton 0. And that kick-off at 5:15. The latest score is Ayr United 0, Dundee United 0. Looks as if there's a correction on that one. The goal has been chalked off. So we'll update that for you. It's 0-0 at the moment. Let's go into League One. Alloa 6, Brecon City 1, East Fife 1, Peterhead 2, Queen's Park 2, Albion Rovers 0, Stenhousemuir 0, Livingston 1, and Stranraer 2, Airdrieonians 1. In League 2, Annan Athletic 2, Berwick Rangers 1, Arbroath 0, Edinburgh City 1, Clyde 3, Elgin City 2, Montrose 1, Forfar 0, and Stirling Albion 0, Cowdenbeath 3. And in the English Premier League, Tottenham 4, Bournemouth 0, Crystal Palace 2, Leicester City 2, Everton 3, Burnley 1, Stoke City 3, Hull City 1, Sunderland 2, West Ham 2, Watford 1, Swansea 0, and Southampton 0, Manchester City 0. And there's been a correction on that Ayr Dundee United game. It's 0-0 at the moment. What happens, as ever, is someone scores, the referee chalks it off, and then we eventually get the message through there.
I always amazed though that the people at the grounds put the goal up before the game kicks off.
It must have been seconds. It must have been a matter of seconds.
Because it's this rush. Do you know what it is? I'm going to go off on this mini rant here. It's this rush to get things first instead of getting the rush to get things right.
Yeah.
Well, I'm almost certain, in a strange sort of way, I never thought we'd actually be quoting Denzel Washington on this programme, Hugh, but it's one of those fantastic clips from social media. The rush now is not for accuracy, it's just to be first.
It's to be first to get, I mean, in the old days, if I had reported a goal from a match to a desk and it wasn't a goal, I'd have got my bottom booted very severely, and I would do it once, and if I did it twice, they'd say, "Well, you're not doing games anymore because you're giving us wrong results. You're giving us wrong scores. You can't do that."
Yeah, well, it's funny you saying that. We can make wrong decisions and get away with it, but other people have to live with the consequences. And as we read out the scoreline there from the Premiership, Inverness, we've heard from Richie Foran, devastated. Stephen Robinson said, we've been denied a couple of goals earlier on in the season that should have stood as well. But there's no doubt, looking at the Premiership table, that Inverness, Cally Thistle are now right behind the 8 ball. They are staring at the Championship. Who would have thought a club of that stature, not that long ago, lifting the Scottish Cup with John Hughes as the manager?
I think you've got to give them a lot of credit in terms of what they've achieved. As I say, resources-wise, fan base, there will be an argument now. I can imagine a lot of people are going to look at it and say, if Inverness go down and Hibs come up, look at the difference you've got. You've got a club that can get 17,000 people compared to a club that are getting about, 3,500. They're going to say Hibs are a better team for the higher division, and it's going to bring more money in for the higher division if Hibs are there than Inverness. I think a lot of people in that top division aren't going to miss Inverness if they're the team that goes down, to be honest with Peter. I think all credit to them in terms of what they've achieved, winning the Cup and all that. I'd imagine a lot of these major clubs at the top will not worry one bit about Inverness going down.
Yeah, is that because of strategically where they're placed?
Not just that, no, financially, in terms of what they bring.
I don't think they've ever improved on what they were. They've taken everything that's come along and good luck to them, but they haven't, year on year, made themselves better.
The other aspect of it, and I would always argue this case, and it's the ethos of what a competition is all about, is a meritocracy. And if you're arguing on financially what someone brings to it, then there's no argument for Hamilton Accies either. No. Yet they're still battling away. We can't underestimate the enormity of that result today, because there is a club that doesn't have a big following, and they've just beaten a club that has a big following in Dundee.
And the other thing as well, if you look at Ross County, the only way they're there is because of the owner. If the owner wasn't putting the amount of money he is putting in every year on year, you would think that Ross County would be...
Roy McGregor's backed them totally for financially, right? I know, because they're a small club too, I agree.
Well, I don't think that's a condemnation of them, Hugh McDonald, because that's the status for many a club with a multi-millionaire owner or somebody who's wealthy.
But that's what I'm saying is, if Inverness had him, they would have been in the position they're in now, because somebody would have thrown money at them.
Yeah.
But the thing is, nowadays the reality of Scottish football is everybody's got to be self-sufficient. The sugar daddies are very conspicuous by their absence, really. I mean, Roy McGregor's got that at Ross County, but otherwise, it's a business now, and it's a business that's got to be run on certain imperatives. Well, I mean, I just look though that that Dundee result today is just like felt like a body blow up there today.
6 defeats in a row.
6 defeats in a row in the playoff positions. I mean, my tipping today has been predictably and wonderfully woeful. I thought Dundee would win. I thought St Johnstone would have got something out of Aberdeen. Completely wrong. But now I think, if you're looking at 7 points of the gap with Inverness, you're really saying, I mean, from Inverness to get out of all trouble. They're away.
Well, we've now got decisions that have been made. Celtic are the winners in the Premiership. We've got Hibs, the winners in the Championship. Livingston have won League One. The only one that we don't have a result for, Gordon Smith, is League Two, where Forfar and Arbroath slipped up. And, who wants to win that division?
I'll be honest with you, they're in terrible form, Forfar and Arbroath, the two of them. But I was going to just go back to the Premier League, Peter. See, between now and the end of the season, the splits come now. Inverness are the team in trouble. They look like the relegation team, right? But see the other 5 above them, they are now in a serious fight for the playoff place. Every one of them is in contention. There's no golf. There's hardly any golf there between now Dundee and Kilmarnock. Is it 5 points?
Yeah, it's going to be right down to the wire. In the Championship, the day belongs to Hibernian, because they're at Easter Road. They had a job to do. They defeated Queen of the South by 3-0, and they were also looking at Falkirk against St Mirren to see what was going to happen there. And in the end, they won it. Congratulations to Hibernian. They've won the Championship. They're coming back to the Premiership.